What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. We got a absolute banger planned for you guys today. So thank you for tuning in. Gonna have a full house today. It is the True Earth debate, the main event. Probably my favorite thing to do on this channel, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and, as usual, go ahead and dive right in. Now will have some new folks in today, so let's go ahead and just go over some ground rules, just the basics of how it works, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link and get things kicked off because we got some guests excited to get at it. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and find the order is the rules. Can't do this without the rules, folks. So here it is, the True Earth Debate Behavior Code. Pretty simple to follow. Rule number 1, do not be an arse. All right, that just means no ridiculous, relentless character attacks. Just attack the arguments, right? No need to, and don't beat a dead horse. No interrupting, basic stuff. Pretty easy to follow, right? Now, we actually do have a way to help kind of moderate things. It's just a method of hand raising. I use Google Meet for the Hangout, so when I drop that link, you guys will see that Google Meet link. Go ahead and click it, hop on in, and whenever you want to speak, when somebody else is talking, and this can be particularly important when you think somebody's going to go on forever, right? Go ahead and just raise your hand, and I promise within like 30 seconds, I'm going to interject as the moderator to go ahead and allow some other people to speak, unless you're just doing it to, cut them off to make sure that they can't speak ever. The power cannot be abused, right? With great power comes great responsibility, and that's why the final rule, number 4, my show, my rules, my verdict, right? So what I say goes, and you guys are going to have to deal with it, but I promise to be fair. Usually people from both sides of the fence tend to find me a pretty fair moderator. But just to let everybody know, my personal take, I am a flat earther, or a true earther, as we like to say. And the true earth just kind of rings a little bit better. It also leaves room for more possibilities, right? Who really knows the exact nature of the cosmos? We're going to go ahead and get into it today. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and get this link generated here. And while I'm doing that, we will go ahead and do a shout out as well. For those new to the show, we do like to shout out the people who are joining us. So, let's go ahead and start at the top. Demon Stride, you can get a link here in just a moment. Blaze the Nazarene, what is up, my friend? Space Audits, welcome. James Ostrom, Austin Murphy. And that is who we have for now. Folks, feel free to leave a comment if you'd like the shout out. And of course, Shane St. Pierre over on Rokfin, we appreciate you tuning in as well. Let me go ahead and get this fully pulled up. I don't know why it's taking so long. Well, of course I know why. It's because my computer is absolute garbage. But hey, you work with the hand that you were given, and so I'd like to still provide this show to you guys. So we're doing it. Google Meet. Let's go. Alrighty. So who all out there in the comments and who may be watching, who has seen the new SpaceX launch, the new crew? Absolutely hilarious, the stuff that they pass off in that. We can potentially get into that depending on the direction of the conversation. But let's go ahead and come on now. Finally getting somewhere. People who are just joining are like, what the frick is this, dude? This guy an amateur? Yeah, it definitely has amateur vibes, right? But it's all good. It's all about the info. We got the link copied. I'm going to go ahead and drop it for you guys, and then we will get this underway. Nuba, welcome to the show, man. You did miss the start. It's the best part. All the choppy video and music. Alrighty, posted for the Rokfin. Watched it get stuck. Yeah, absolutely. That's hilarious. All right, the link is posted. Feel free to jump on in. Let me go ahead and I gotta pull up the transition screen here so I can deactivate my camera. Nice. Demon Stride, Space Audits. Welcome to the show.
Yo.
Let me activate. I gotta get my camera activated here, so just give me 1 second. This will just take me a brief moment, and we'll be in, and then I'll pull us into the to the stream. It's warning me that the system load is heavy. Folks, while I'm doing this, I'll go ahead and do a shameless plug so that you guys know where all your support goes for the show. We are actually in the process of building a whole new computer setup. And so with that, we hope to achieve a much higher quality broadcast. All right, everybody's starting to pile in. Let me get you guys in the actual stream. Taking its sweet time. Luckily, the audience can watch this dope astronaut fly through the cosmos.
So can everybody hear me? Demon, can you hear me?
Yep, everybody can hear you. Hello, hello.
Can you hear me, Demon?
I can hear you, bro. Okay. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm
I think he's tabbed out.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I was chopped out for just a second, but just give me one moment. I'm still trying to get the meat into the stream, and it's being a pain. Is my mic not working for you guys? Probably not.
I see you got some notes there, Jim.
No, I don't have any notes. It's all in my head, Alan.
That's hilarious. Okay,
nice.
Reloading the page.
Nice. You've been memorizing your.
Hilarious, guys. I'll jump right back in, and we will get this underway. Just can't exactly do this with a disconnected mic, so.
Poor Demon's gonna have to put up with our world-shattering announcement.
World shattering.
Are you a globe lad, Demon, or Mike's?
Is my
brother?
Is my mic
Everybody's
working
been
now?
a little quiet the last 2 times I've been on here as far as my volume coming through, but I guess everybody hears me okay. So yeah, maybe I'll have to work on my volume sometime.
Yeah, you're solid. What up, Shane?
Hey, Shane.
Yo, Google Hangout. It was rough.
Hey, Shane, don't be so nice tonight. You know, be a little tougher on the Globers.
What's the problem?
There we go. So you guys hear me? We're good?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. We're loud and clear on the stream. I just got confirmation from my tech crew. My lovely assistant in the back says that we can hear everything loud and clear. So there was a little choppiness on the Google Meet, and that's because I was doing a transition over on the OBS, but that's done now. So when you guys are presenting, that shouldn't affect my end at all. So you guys should be good to go.
We got Demon Stride all by himself. Perfect. Easy pickings, guys.
Dude.
Actually, I think Demon is going to make an announcement tonight that he's coming over to the Flat Earth side. Is that right, Demon?
I'm waiting for that announcement.
You making that announcement tonight, Demon?
No.
No.
Not tonight. Tomorrow, though. Next week.
Tomorrow.
Probably. Someday soon.
After you hear us tonight, Demon, you'll come over, won't you?
Just sleep on it.
Yeah, he has to mull it over. Yeah.
So is Alan. Hey, what's up, Alan?
What's up,
Welcome, dude. This is gonna be fun. This is like a powerhouse. I don't know what you guys are doing without Ruhif, man. Woo.
Dude, well, can Ruhif even? Does he even have? Would he even have an argument with the new stuff that just came out with the triangulation of
I
the?
thought that's where you'd
of
want to
the-
go, and I came prepared, so that's great.
My man, dude. Let me tell you how my thought process going into this was. I'm not even going to prepare a single link for it. I'm just going to reference it, and Shane will provide it. Thoughts?
Yeah, no. I got. Oh, hold on. Let me
Alright.
get my keyboard. All right, super gay. I'm ready to go.
Nice. Just
Other
re-
screen good.
just
Looking up
remember, there are
stuff,
some
I'm
people
good.
that might tune into my show that are brand new to this conversation. So be sure that whatever evidence you bring, you make sure that you present it in a way that's understandable for everybody.
Oh yeah, totally.
Hey, are we going to wait for Ruhif, or
He
is
may
Alan
be-
and I going to have a chance to start our world-breaking, shattering announcement?
So Ruhif didn't say how long it was going to take for him to join. So, but he did say he was going to join tonight. So
He said he'd be late and to get started without him, I think, or at least he told me that. I don't know what he told you guys.
same thing.
Yeah, all right. Good
Well,
guy. He'll be here. But until then, Demon Stride, you ready, dude? You don't look ready. You're muted, so you're definitely not ready, dude. I'm talking to nobody. Nobody can hear you.
Yeah, he's
Dude, slow
muted.
down.
Hey, Demon, you're muted.
it's his mic.
Say nothing if you concede it's flat. Your voice.
right away. Oh yeah.
Nice, dude.
And we win. All right, GG. Everyone shake hands.
That's what we seek at this channel is full conversion. So we won't accept anything less.
Has anyone ever seen a full conversion? That would be excellent.
No, the best I got was
Hey,
that
hey.
I made excellent points, and it's something I'm going to have to think about. That's the best.
Dude, I think that's a conversion. That's a seed planted that you won't see grow. I think that's what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a win.
Can you hear me now? Oh my god, I had it
Hey,
switched
there's-
over from the stupid voice mod thing. Okay.
We can
Yeah.
hear Demon now.
You were
He's
giving us
there.
this, but
No, I'm not.
There he
It's our
is.
fault.
I
You were
will-
like, oh.
Let's go.
Hey,
This is
Demon.
going to be wild.
Demon, one question for you. What's your best globe proof?
My best globe proof gravity. Definitely.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's a
Yowzers.
disadvantage that we hang out all day, every day, dude. You know all my arguments.
Which version
Yeah, I
of
don't have
Gravity
anything
do
to
you,
present. I
are you
was
down with?
hoping Ruhif was gonna be here to do all the science stuff, and I would just pick up on the epistemology portion.
Oh, I can do Ruhif's arguments, dude. You guys want me to temporarily be a glober?
Yeah, I think we can all do better than
The
Yeah.
dip angle.
Demon Stride. I love your background as always, dude. Killing it.
Yeah, I asked a AI to invent time travel for me, and they gave me a fucking TARDIS.
You got to be more specific with your prompting, man.
Nah, you got exactly what he asked for.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's like making a wish from a genie. You got to be careful, dude. You got a TARDIS.
All right. Well,
So, yeah, man. Let's see. So we got like, sorry, man.
no, you're fine. I'm ready for the world breaking announcement. Like, you guys got me on the edge of my freaking seat over here. So whenever you guys want to kick
Yeah,
it
Jim,
off.
Jim built it up
Jim-
quite a bit. So if it's not
Yeah,
amazing,
Jim, you want to open us up and we'll
Yeah.
get into it?
Yeah, Alan, and tell me to be quiet when you want me to, because I put together. I want you to know I spend as much time on this new science that I'm going to present that Einstein spent on special relativity and general relativity in 1905 and 1915. I think he spent like 15 minutes putting it all together back then. So I spent 15 minutes to put this together. So I just want you to know. We're going special relativity and general relativity in 1905, 1915 through Newton to the curb. In November 6th of 1919, Eddington and his boys got together and told the USA and UK press that Einstein was their boy. So when Einstein woke up November 7th, 1919, he was world famous. So he was a media creation. Now, tonight, Alan and I are going to throw that all out. We're going to throw Einstein to the curb, and we're going to come up with a brand new one. It's called essential relativity, ESSENTIAL. It's essential relativity. And in order for essential relativity to work, you must have some fake pandemic so that you can go out to the grocery store and rid the shelves of essential stuff like toilet paper, water,
Hold on, I
and
gotta
handy
take
wipes
notes.
that will hopefully wipe away those pesky little tiny invisible microbes that don't exist. So, in many ways, essential relativity is a combination of special and general relativity. Depending on your reference frame, the shelves of the toilet paper could be either one half full or one half empty. You never know, you know? And if light bends and warps, are you in fact seeing any toilet paper at all? You may not be. I'm sure this will puzzle scientists for the next 100 years. And because I want to make some coin off of this, I want to make some money. Whose name gets placed in the history books first? Will it be called the Alan Jim essential relativity or the Jim Allen essential relativity? I wonder if Michelson Morley ever wondered if Morley Michelson would have made him more famous. Remember that one evening when we were both in the cosmetology Tartaria server? I was the one, Alan, who coined the term essential relativity. So I'm going to make more coin off of this than you are. So I want to proclaim March 3rd, 2023, the day that we knocked Einstein off his pedestal and we put Jim and Alan, or Alan and Jim, in place of Einstein with essential relativity. Thank you.
I'm hooked. That was absolutely
What
riveting.
an incredible opener. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll go over where Jim got got some of that information.
I'm getting all ugly.
You guys can applaud for Alan and me right now if you want to. Go ahead and applaud. Go ahead.
You may.
Yeah, and if you're enjoying Troubling Tribune's show, remember to donate. All proceeds go to increasing the productivity of the show, whether that be in the form of better computer hardware or mind expanding drugs. Who's to say? He has a 501c3. It's all good. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
I'm just kidding. I don't know what his tax thing is, but he's a good guy. So you should donate if you like the show.
501c3. My goodness, I would never file that. Not unless I had some charitable donation.
Oh, should I have muted it? Is it gonna echo me?
Maybe not.
I think I should have muted it. Testing. Is there
Yeah,
echo or anything?
No,
Google has pretty good echo cancellation.
Okay. All right. So this is how math became reality, and I'm going to kind of speed run through this because some of it's kind of boring, and we're just going to get to the meat and potatoes. But to give some prerequisite information here, the classical proofs of general relativity that had to be overcome so that Einstein could supersede Newtonian mechanics and that people would accept the space-time manifold analogy as a fact, and rather just a mathematical concept. Certain things had to be proven or predicted or whatever. So we're going to go over all of the classical experiments that quote unquote prove or support general and special relativity. So the classical proofs are the perihelion precession of Mercury, the deflection of light by the sun, which was the eclipse thing that Jim was referencing earlier, gravitational redshift, and miscellaneous indirect confirmations such as time dilation, which we don't worry, guys. Time dilation survived, and it's going to be an essential relativity, so you're good to go. We're going to keep that. We like it. All right. So some prerequisite information here. This is how they measure. This is how they come up with their measurements for stars and stuff like that. This is if you take a degree and anything, or 1 degree breaks down into 60 arc minutes, and you can break that down for 60 seconds, per minute. So 1 arc second is 1/3600th of a degree, and then they've actually expanded the system. So if you times that by 1,000, you get into the milliarcs, which is 1/3,600th of a degree, and then the microarcs is 1/3,600,000,000th of a degree. So really precise measurements here. But for the continuation of the presentation, we're going to be focusing on arc seconds. So the next one, is what curvature tensors and metric tensors and stuff. These are things that describe space-time. This is how they describe, the gravitational fields affecting the curvature of space-time. And I'm going to show how they have to, because people will say space-time curvature, like what is it? And they'll say, well, it's the fabric of the universe. It's, they have like this really circular definition of it. And a lot of people don't realize that space-time curvature has to actually be a physical mechanism, because some of the proof that they've attributed to it um, requires it to be, because if it's not, then it can't be the cause of things like redshift. So we're gonna get into what that means here in a second. So this is spectrographs and spectrum shifts. When they're looking at starlight through a telescope, they split the light through a prism. That prism hits in the time we're going to be talking about, it hits a photographic plate. They take a snapshot of it, and they would compare it against a thing that they, a color spectrum that they already colored in themselves. And they would look, and that's how they do their analysis of when they talk about, oh, it's red shifting, it's blue shifting. There's this atom in the what is it, like the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. It produces these lines and stuff, and that's what they compare it to. All right, and this is just average observational visibility that you'll get is 2 to 3 arc seconds when you're looking through basically any telescope. And the measurements that we're going to be talking about for the perihelion are well below 1 arc second. So I don't know how, I don't know how they even figured out that the how Mercury was processing by the little amount that they claim. So anyway, we're going to get into that now.
For those who may be wondering, I'm still here. I've just turned my camera off so that everything will run a little smoother.
So the perihelion precession of Mercury is the gradual shift of Mercury as it closely approaches the sun, and has like a little wobble to its orbit, like off axis. That's what they say. And this guy named Urbain Le Vergne calculated over 40 years of observations that Mercury would precess by 5,600 arc seconds per century. So basically 1.25 degrees per century. It wobbles or whatever. So this is what the actual observed is that they say. And using the Newtonian mechanics, i.e., they calculated all the gravitational forces of all the planets and said that there was like a tug of war situation going on. And the best that they could come up with their predictions on that was 55, 57, which is 43 arc seconds off the quote unquote observed amount. And relativity theory came in hot with 5,600 even, dead on prediction, allegedly. And to do that, they use something called the Schwarzschild metric, which we'll get into in a second. But before we continue, I want to show you that there are other ways to solve for the perihelion precession using Newtonian mechanics. And this is just one example. A physicist named Paul Gerber came up with an equation saying that he called it a velocity dependent potential correction. And this is the equation that he came up with for it. And because he didn't have like a well-defined theory or story about it, it was largely rejected, but the equation, like the math was solid or whatever. And some arguments that he could have made was he could have said that, gravity has a speed limit. So there could have been like the wave, like gravity waves or whatever could have been causing the perturbation of Mercury. But anyway, they just largely rejected it in favor of Einstein's with his using the Schwarzschild metric. And what the Schwarzschild metric is it's basically a fancy way of saying that we don't have a solution to the 3-body problem. So what we're going to do is calculate things as if so we'll do the sun and Mercury, for example. So they say the sun is a stationary, non-rotating, non-charged, has no energy, nothing like that. Mass, and its gravitational field based on its mass is warping space-time. And Mercury weighing nothing, they calculate Mercury is not weighing anything, is traveling in a straight line, and that straight line is actually traveling through the curvature of space-time, and that's what's producing it. Like that's how they explain it using math. And that should be a dead giveaway that the math is just math. Like you can make it calculate however you want based on whatever parameters, because hold on one second, got dry mouth.
So it's
You
like
can cheat.
So it's like there's a Coriolis effect for space almost. Like we're not actually seeing the planet orbit. What we're seeing is the planet move in a straight line, but space time is bending.
Yeah, according to them, have you ever heard the explanation where they'll say, well, picture an ant on a basketball that from the ant's perspective, he's moving in a straight line. But if you could be outside of that system, you would observe the ant is traveling along a curved line. So what they try and do with the space-time metrics and things is they try and build like a fourth dimensional perspective where you're seeing it, you're seeing things travel through, curved space-time manifolds and things like that. It's all conceptual, uh, and metaphorical in that regard. But like I said, they're gonna need physicality to space time. Like it's gonna have to be a physical thing if they want to invoke Redshift. So, and we'll get into that shortly. But yeah, so back to the metric thing. You can basically, the Mercury, obviously they say has weight and all that stuff, but like the way that they calculate it in the metric, they don't include for Mercury's weight because if anything else was calculated, the gravitational field calculation would be off and you wouldn't be able to get the 5600 even prediction on it. That's basically what they do. And then we're going to move on now to Paul Gerber. 1 second. Okay, so that was the first proof, and I'll just read from the slide. Theories and solutions derived from principles often do not match the observed reality. 1 second, fire alarm's going off.
Dude, I had to check and make sure that wasn't my house. That was so loud.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I had to take my headphones off. I'm like, what the heck?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Where were we? So yeah, so they don't even need to adhere to anything that they say about they don't need to adhere to the physical attributes of what they're describing as long as they can make math that, quote unquote fits the observation, which they just reverse engineer and can, attribute it to space-time curvature, then they're really good to go with their system. So this was step one in making a quote unquote prediction. But like I said, or that Urbain Laverne guy, he found this out like years before. I think it was like 40 or 60 years before um, Einstein's theory and stuff. So it wasn't really a prediction; it was a postdiction, and they just made the numbers fit. So this was
Just
step
like
one.
always.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into the deflection of light rays with Arthur Eddington. So just read from this real quick to catch you guys up.
This is some fun ad hoc here.
Why is that?
Just the whole idea they're like creating the reason after seeing it, and it's like, well, the sun has to be a physical thing.
Dude, it's nuts. It's
hilarious.
Nuts. And yeah, okay. So deflection of light rays, gravitational lensing, in Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics and Einstein's relativity theory make different predictions for the deflection of light rays. Einstein's theory of general relativity predicted that light rays would deflect due to the gravitational field and the curvature of space-time caused by the mass and energy of whatever is causing the gravitational field. Newtonian physics predicted that light would be bent by half as much as predicted by relativity and due to a different mechanism, and that mechanism would be that gravity would act on the light as if it was a particle and it would like pull it towards it. So for the predictions, Newtonian physics came up with the light source would be bent by 87 seconds of arc, and Einstein's theory of relativity predicted that due to space-time curvature, there would be a displacement of stars by 1.75 seconds of arc. So it's double the amount basically. And this is the guy Arthur Eddington that went and did the observations. I'm going to breeze through the Eddington data real quick because even in the mainstream narrative, it pretty much accepted that it's all bullshit. But because he was right anyway and it all worked out, it's all good to go. But basically, if you want to go through it, they took his observations. He took 16 photographs, and I think his boy Cromlin took 16 as well from another observation point. But he scrapped all those and said that they were bunk, and he only kept his two plates, which when later reviewed were pretty much dog shit. And but at the time they went ahead and rolled with it so that they could present this as the second proof and also attribute a physical mechanism to space-time, which we're almost there. I keep saying we're going to get to it. I promise we are going to get to it. It's just gotta tell the tale, as they say, or whatever. So we'll just breeze through Eddington's data. These are some of the stuff he had after he got back to England and did his calculations and stuff. Okay. So remember, out of 36 plates, only 2 are presented as the evidence. And from that, the plates aren't even of good quality. And he even admits this. Anyway, we'll continue on.
He looks suspiciously like me.
Yeah, he does. Dude, were you there?
He should have a nice hat though, but
Only in the facial hair area, right?
Time traveler.
Yeah. Yep. So on June 6th, the Royal Astronomical Society and the Royal Society all got together, and they decided that they were going to do a revealing, so to speak, of confirming Einstein's theory of general relativity and attributing Arthur Eddington's "quote unquote" observations to the curvature of space-time. So I'll read a couple of the quotes, and we'll just kind of breeze through some of this until we get to the gravy. So basically, this guy is the president of the Royal Society, and knowing how weak the evidence is, he goes ahead and gives full support to it and congratulates everyone. And that was really cool of him.
So cool. Imagine.
Yeah,
imagine breaking your
it was
arm.
really it was really nice of him to agree to change all of cosmology and physics based on 2 dog shit photograph plates when there was more evidence that should have been accompanying it, but they just kind of disregarded it for philosophical reasons, I guess, right?
Alan, you remember that thing that the Globers always tell us about the flat Earth is like, man, you'd get so rich and famous if you came up with a working alternate
Oh,
model.
dude.
So rich and famous, and like, yeah, you're right, because these guys did it with bullshit, and it's just, and now people aren't quite, I guess some people aren't quite that dumb,
Dude,
aren't really ready to accept it.
No, I came across so many papers of people, formulating their own ways to solve for the perihelion precession with Newtonian mechanics, and they completely abandoned it, man, in favor of this because they knew it would make them fucking wizards, where they could just say whatever they want and have these, crazy equations that hardly anyone can understand
The
and nobody
ultimate,
can verify.
the ultimate
What's that?
unfalsifiable
Yeah,
position.
yeah, it's crazy. And then any phenomenon that happens, they can just be like, oh, dude, when you look at what a black hole is, it's basically they impose a singularity in the math and say, oh my God, that must mean the star lost, it condensed down to 20% of its uh solar mass or whatever, and then it's collapsing in on itself, and they get their infinite curvature by imposing a singularity onto it, into their own math, and then they look in the sky and go, "Oh my God, this is moving faster than it should. Maybe there's a black hole there." Like that's the story they give us, and then they build their whole thing around it, and then of course, with the confirmation of black holes, you get into the information loss paradox with quantum mechanics and stuff, and then nobody solves it or cares, and they just operate simultaneously with with them blatantly contradicting each other.
Well, Alan, I would say that it's pretty easy to debunk you on your face, and the evidence is right here in front of us. And now, I am a flat earther, but the evidence
Mhm.
of bending space time is apparent in the fact that Demon Stride is sitting right here. He has the actual machine for time travel, which is only possible if you can bend time itself. And we clearly saw where he was previously, still carrying on in this debate, right? So here he is towing the party line, century later almost. It's crazy.
That's really interesting. Have you heard of the grandfather paradox?
What's
Yeah.
It's with enough math you can become your own dad.
that? That's pretty funny.
All right. Thanks, man. I wrote that the other day with Jim.
All right.
So we're gonna continue. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna tell you to roll on ahead, man. Full steam.
Oh. All right. So continuing on, what Arthur Eddington basically says is carried along with the beam of light. So he's introducing the concept of space-time curvature, and he's going to say he's going to support his observations, even though they were admittedly extremely poor and complete dog shit. Paraphrasing, of course, he didn't call his own work dog shit, but you know. And so this guy also he tried to give a little pushback on space-time curvature and said that maybe there was some sort of what's it called, refraction or something due to like the sun's corona. And Eddington kind of rebuts that and says he said in typical Glober fashion, he makes up like a ludicrous number and says it would require so much that it would be impossible, therefore it must be space-time curvature. And then this guy chimes in, Frank Watson Dyson, and he's going to go ahead and he's going to give his blessing as well. And say, and he says that the examination of the plates was so well done and blah blah blah, and that he's just so confident in it, right? So, but we'll get to that. And then continuing on, Professor Alfred Howler, president of the Royal Astronomical Society. Now this guy starts talking about where they're looking for redshift from another observation that was supposed to be going on in tandem with Eddington's observation. So they were supposed to do spectrum shift observations of the starlight that was displaced as well from their positions. A different team, a guy named St. John and Evershade was his partner, and they were supposed to take these redshift observations of the stars. And it turns out that they didn't get any redshift observations. And this is where they're going to start talking about that. So this is Professor Alfred Howler. The quantity looked for, I may say, is 100 times the probable error of the measurement which can be made with the large spectrographs now employed in such inquiries. Evershade has also examined the light from the sun and from the earth by photographing the spectrum of Venus and on the further side of the sun. Gravitational displacements, if they exist, should appear in all parts alike, but he finds no such displacement on the other side of the sun, though he does find a slight displacement on the near side. It is very desirable that the spectroscopic tests be carefully repeated. So here's where they're saying that they don't have any observations. Yes, Ruhif.
You're muted.
Also,
Smart
driving
guy.
Shane.
Oh, I saw that. That was cute. My emoji was better and well timed.
Yes, very good. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, we were destroying heliocentrism, so you're
Okay.
welcome to witness it.
Oh,
It's
continue.
fantastic.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, if you have a question or whatever, raise your hand or whatever, but please try not to interrupt me to talk about emojis with Shane. All right. Where was I? Okay, yeah. So dude was talking about the lack of redshift observations by St. John's and Evershade. This guy chimes in, Professor Frederick Lindman, and this is like a transcript of their meeting, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to give the context of that. This, well, I linked the paper at the beginning, but it's in the notes here. But anyway, this is like a transcript of the meeting. So these guys are kind of having a back and forth at the presentation of Eddington's data, where they're going to go ahead and send full send spacetime. So as to the theory itself, I must confess that the fact that it is always presented in the form of purely mathematics, from the point of view or purely mathematical point of view, seems regrettable to a mere physicist. No doubt that the present form is correct and even elegant once one has become familiar with the notion. I cannot believe, however, that a profound physical truth cannot be clothed in simpler language. To put the theory in the form of curvature and space-time manifolds seems to me much simpler than the tensor presentation. And Jim, my boy Jim, knows all about tensor presentations, so we'll cover that later. And then he says, cannot Professor Eddington translate his admirable treatise from the tensor notion to some such form? So he wants Eddington to stop, describing it in the mathematical form and go ahead and start talking about it in the space-time manifold, space-time curvature metaphor, because it's easier for people to digest and understand and to fall back on things like, well, space-time curvature is the fabric of the universe, and be completely content with that because it's just a metaphorical way of explaining a mathematical coordinate system imposed on the universe. All right. So this guy gives a little bit of pushback as well. And I'll read this in a sec. 1 sec. Good. Dry mouth again. Professor Hugh Frank Newell. May I add my congratulations to the extraordinary success of the observations. I feel that the Einstein effect holds the day, but I do not yet feel I can give up my freedom of mind for another interpretation of the effects obtained. If Einstein had not existed or had not predicted the deflection, we might have had a similar experiment made to test the presence of an extended atmosphere around the sun, and we could have argued the results back to the hypothesis. Think for a moment of the fine prominence that was seen on this day of the eclipse. It was followed by Evershade for a rotation and a half. So the Evershade guy, did follow up observations for like 6 months or something like that. Matter was expelled outwards in the course of the movement, as we know from the sequence of photographs secured by the spectroheliograph at Cambridge on the day of the eclipse. And yet this matter at different high levels goes around the sun, not with gravitational velocities, but with the same velocities as held at the lower levels of the spots. It is, I know, a cheap criticism to make a qualitative suggestion in opposition to a quantitative result, but I feel I want to keep an open mind for the existence of matter in a field where gravitational effect and electric forces are acting simultaneously in unknown relations under the conditions which admit the existence of an extended corona. It does not carry much weight with me when it is urged that to explain the deflection in terms of a refractive index, the medium must have a density of 1/200 or 1/400. So he basically just body bagged Eddington's argument, of that of the terrestrial atmosphere that would be needed. What we have to do with the possibility of an extended atmosphere at very high effective temperature, almost certainly in part controlled by electric as well as gravitational conditions existing in it. And who's to say what its refractive properties may be? I prefer to keep an open mind about this interpretation, and I wish, in conclusion, to add my heartiest congratulations to the Astronomer Royal and the observers on the observations and the results obtained. So congratulations on those 2 pictures. That's really cool. And it really sucks that there's no evidence of a physical mechanism of space-time curvature. Professor Frederick Lindman, might I say one more word? Have we not evidence of the motion of comets passing near the sun outside of the sun, which makes their tails distinctly diffuse? Other comets suffer no noticeable checks in their path. So this guy kind of rebuts the refractive thing by saying when comets go past the sun, their tails don't break up. So, there's probably not an extended atmosphere. And then this is Dr. Silverstein. This is where we get into the lack of a physical mechanism to back up the observations if the observations were even correct in the first place. But in spite of what the president said, I believe that this result to be essentially an isolated fact. There is a deflection of light rays, but it does not prove Einstein's theory. It cannot logically be deduced from a theory as a gravitational effect in absence of the spectroscopic results. And as far as we know, St. John's and Evershade's observations as predicted the redshift of the spectrum lines of an amount exceeding almost 100 times that of the probable error of the modern spectroscope, as Professor Fowler just told us. It is not obtained. Professor Lindman's attempt to explain the obstinate nullity of the effect of the motion of the luminous gases in the line of vision is not satisfactory, for St. John was well aware of such complicating circumstances and therefore purposely observed as many as 43 lines at the sun center and almost as many as 33 or 35 at the limb. Now, we cannot all assume that the gases move everywhere towards or away from us just to suit Einstein's theory, i.e. just to compensate for the theoretical redshift. As I have already pointed out on another occasion, if there is no spectral shift, Einstein's coefficient, this is how he describes space-time curvature with his tensor, which is entirely responsible for it, must be unity. And if we go back to the differential equations, we shall see at once that the other coefficient in his well approximation solutions must become unity at the same time. And then he rattles off some math here, which we'll cover in a second, so that the world element reduces to, and then he says the differential equation there. And since these equations of motion are always given by Greek letter ds equals 0, we must ultimately see that the spectral shift is absent in Einstein's theory. Einstein's theory not only does not give such refinements of the planetary motions as the secular motion of the perihelion, but not even the ordinary Newtonian or Keplerian motions. In short, the orbits of the planets would be straight lines, and the planets would move along them uniformly in spite of the sun's presence. The theory stands or falls on the correctness of Evershades and St. John. It is unscientific to assert for the moment that the deflection, the reality of which I admit is due to gravitation. It is in this sense that I declare it a moment ago to be an isolated fact. The discovery made at the eclipse expedition, beautiful as it is, does not in this circumstance prove Einstein's theory. We owe it to that great man over there, pointing to Newton's picture, to proceed very carefully in modifying or retouching his laws of gravitation. This by no means is defending blind conservatism. The spectral shift required is perhaps 100 times, but not certainly less than 40 or 50 times the error of modern measurement. The solar spectrum can in this country be observed many times a year, and thus can be decided without having to wait years or centuries for another equally advantageous eclipse. If the shift remains unproven at this point, the whole theory collapses and the phenomenon just observed by the astronomers remains a fact awaiting to be accounted for in a different way. And the math stuff that he was talking about, the math stuff he was saying was he's basically how I was talking about earlier, how they say that the planets move in a straight line, but it's the space-time curvature that's actually producing the effect. So this is what he's talking about, how if that's not a physical mechanism and they're not actually going along a curvature, then it can't, then, then it's just a concept, and if there's no space-time curvature, then the orbits don't even make sense, because he's talking about how, the circular orbits or the eclipse orbits, he's saying it all falls apart based on that. And this is Eddington's rebuttal to what Silberstein says. One word with Dr. Silberstein: when a result that has been forecasted is obtained, naturally we ask what part of the theory exactly does it confirm. In the case of Einstein's law of gravitation, it is not necessarily the theory that is confirmed, with the underlying assumption that ds is a quantity measurable by clock and scale. There still remains the question of what the intermediary quality ds is, which may be further tested by the Fraunhofer lines. And the ds thing he's referring to is in the Schwarzschild differential equation. Ds is the first part of what they put in to describe the curvature, the space-time curvature. All right, and then in general relativity, the negative sign in front of the c squared times dt squared term in the equation is that time and space are not separated, but they're distinct dimensions, and that they're not separate in distinct dimensions, that they're instead intertwined in a non-Euclidean manner. And this means that the geometry of space-time is curved and distorted by the presence of mass and energy, leading to such phenomenon as gravity. This departure from the traditional Euclidean view of space-time that separates that separates time and space as separate entities that aren't affected by each other. So basically, they went from objective time and relative, space, and they went to relative time, objective time and of a varying speed of light. They replaced that with subjective time with a constant speed of light. That's basically the flip-flop that they did. 1 second, I have to take a short break to put something in the fridge real quick.
Those clever bastards. Well, Alan, you've given us an awful lot. I'm really curious to see if Ruhif or Demon Stride have any opinions on what you just presented.
I do, actually. I've been writing notes kind of the whole time, but I think I'll start with Jim's claiming that TP is invisible. The question I got is, did you measure the air temp and the humidity inside of that TP aisle to determine that? And
Oh, are you talking about my little trip into the grocery store to see the toilet paper that doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah. You're claiming it's invisible due to refraction.
I said bending and warping of space time. I didn't bring up refraction.
Okay, all right.
Hey,
I'll wait till
Demon.
you get. Yep.
Hey, Demon. Hopefully, after tonight, you are an STPer. I have hope for you. Not for Ruhif,
Stone
but for
Temple
you.
Pilot?
I have great hope.
Hey, I'm back.
I do have questions about your presentation, but I'll let you finish. I'll keep writing notes.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
if I can just, comment, Alan's presentation goes on about an hour and a half, and it's really, really deep. And actually, the second half of it, in my opinion, is much more powerful than the first half. First half, he just kind of sets it up for the second half. The second half is very powerful.
Thanks, Jim. Very encouraging words. All right. So despite the weak evidence there, they went ahead and rolled out space-time, and they confirmed, Einstein's theory was correct, and that served as 2 confirmations of his theory. And with the second confirmation, they had a quote-unquote physical mechanism to explain why the stars were displaced, even though they didn't have any evidence of it through the redshift. So by the time Einstein woke up the next day, November 7th, 1919, he was catapulted into stardom, an overnight celebrity. The British and U.S. media spreading word of how his theory had been confirmed, that the laws of the laws of gravity now obey Einstein's space-time curvature. So this is a couple follow-ups on the data that was presented from Eddington. And by this time, 1960s, they had already forgotten about the spectrum shift. And they were just this. So this is just focusing on the quote unquote displacement of stars that they observed. And this is a guy that reviewing Eddington's data, the 2 photograph plates that proved the theory allegedly. It should be noted that the deflection predicted by Einstein in 1916 was very small, being about 1.7 seconds of arc for a ray of light at the edge of the sun, inversely proportional to the radial distance of the center of the sun. Since no stars for which the measurements were made during the 1919 eclipse were within 2 solar radii of the center, the largest deflection that would have occurred, according to the theory, would have been less than 0.8 seconds of arc, which for the 343 centimeter focal length telescope used by Eddington would have corresponded to about 0.01 millimeters or 0.000393708 inches on the photograph plate. So even without the spectrum data, the displacement data itself is extremely poor, and you could call the whole thing into question just on that without even having to reference the spectrum data. This is from Dennis Sima, 1967. Einstein, he wrote a book called Einstein, The Man and His Achievements. This is from page 39 to 40. The first attempts to test Einstein's prediction was made by the British expeditions led by Sir Arthur Eddington, and at the end of the Great War, at a time when it was considered very striking that a group of British astronomers should attempt to test a theory proposed by a German. The results that were tested claimed as a triumph for Einstein, and his worldwide fame dates back to this event. Ironically enough, attempts made at later eclipses suggested that Eddington underestimated the uncertainties inherent in such a difficult observation. Even today, Einstein's prediction has not been tested to the precision that we would wish. So this is 1967. This is John Maddox, 1995. He was the editor of Nature magazine. This is from volume 337. Historically, the most dramatic proof of Einstein was on the right track with his general theory of relativity came in 1919 when Eddington and his associate Cromlin took themselves off the Western Pacific to track the total eclipse of the sun for that year. They were bent on measuring the predicted deflection from the sun distant stars lying near the limb of the sun. As the world knows, the prediction was confirmed within the limits of accuracy of the observation to general applause. Einstein became a celebrity overnight. What is not so well remembered is that the measurements in 1919 were not particularly accurate. The standard error of measurement was roughly 30%, while the displacement of the images of the different star fields near the eclipse ranged from half to twice the deflection Einstein had predicted, and later eclipse measurements have not been much better, largely because of the difficulties involved in making the observation from making accurate measurements from the ad hoc observatories that have to be established to be in the path of the eclipse to make sure everything's level and all that shit. And to end on the Einstein stuff, we have one more. Ian McLaughlin wrote a paper in 1999 called Anomalies in the History of Relativity. If the findings of the eclipse expedition had not been announced as being inconclusive instead of decisive in 1919, general relativity would have had to compete with other possible theories such as Gerber's explanations to certain astronomical observations, and a better theory might have eventually been found. In this author's opinion, the confident announcement of the decisive confirmation of Einstein's general theory of relativity on November 7, 1919, was not a triumph of science as it is often portrayed, but one of the most unfortunate events in the history of the 21st century science, or 20th century science. So, what would cause a man to say that? That's crazy talk, right? Well, when this guy went back and looked at the data and had more time to analyze it, he actually found that two of the stars that Eddington used as proof deflected in the wrong direction. So that's how poor the evidence was, but they still went ahead and ran with it. And people, and more observations were done to try and confirm it up until current times, and still nobody's got a satisfactory displacement measurement. And they've completely forgotten about the redshift stuff at this point too. So they can't even get a good observation of it still. And it says it's gonna end in 10 minutes. Do you want to start a new one, or?
So I was going to let you finish up your presentation and then start a new one, and then we can really start like digging in and getting the debate going.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just breeze through the rest of it then, and because I don't want to hold back the debate just for the presentation. If I have a video on it, if people want to watch it, I was just kind of going over the how space-time has to be a physical mechanism.
Yeah, I
Just kind of
appreciate
want to lay the groundwork for that.
Yeah,
So,
normally
so
I
yeah,
do.
I'll just go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate the time to present it though.
Yeah, absolutely. We normally do
s-
some sort of presentation before we kick off the debates anyway, so this is a great way to spend the
Oh,
time.
word. Oh, word. Okay, cool. Well, glad I could provide that. Okay, so quick recap on the observational evidence. It has different explanations and poor visibility, poor observations, just poor dog shit all around. But the real meat and potatoes is no spectrum shift lines were observed that should have been there as per the predictions to make space-time curvature a physical mechanism and support the displacements if there were any displacements at all, which is still a point of contention according to mainstream academics. Conclusion will do. So the next thing they have is the redshift of light. So this is where they've kind of come in and tried to say this is where they've tried to backfill that lack of a physical mechanism of space-time curvature. So we got the just breeze through. Okay. The gravitational redshift, and this is what they attribute to space-time curvature. The wavelength of light from an object is shifted towards the red end of the spectrum as it travels through a gravitational field. This effect is caused by the photon losing energy, but to compensate for that, the wavelength is stretched. So it's stretched towards the redshift. So that's what they say causes it, is that it's going along space-time curvature. And then cosmological redshift would be where they say that the universe of the expansion of the universe itself is causing the same thing, and the photon losing energy is compensating for that by stretching into the redshift of the spectrum. Doppler shift, time dilation. So we get into the Pound-Repka experiment. This is what they put forward for their quote unquote detection of space-time curvature and gravitational redshift. Right. And this is another paper that they did. Well, so their first experiment, I'm just going to give the TLDR. Their first experiment was inconclusive, and it was titled The Apparent Weight of a Photon, because it appeared that what they were observing was that the photon had gained an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared on the way down, and on the way up, it had resisted 9.8 meters per second squared. So they couldn't differentiate between relative motion, the Doppler shift, or gravitational redshift. So they tried the experiment again, and this time it was called the Pound-Snyder experiment. They basically just increased the height of the tower that they were using. And I'll read the quick excerpt from this. This is from their paper that they published. It is not our purpose here to enter the many-sided discussion of the relationship of the effect of, start over. It is not our purpose here to enter the many-sided discussion of the relationship between the effect understudy and general relativity or energy conservation. It is to be noted that no strictly relativistic concepts are involved in the description of the effect as an apparent weight of a photon, and the apparent weight of a photon is suggestive. The velocity difference predicted is identical to that which a material object would acquire in free fall equal to the time of flight. So they, with more precision and more chance to calculate for stuff, they got the same results. And in closing, they say the view that the local timescale depends on gravitational potential appears to require a coherent source for confirmation. The present experiment is unable to distinguish between frequency change and velocity change. For example, it appears that if an experimental comparison of clocks at different potentials would make a useful complementary contribution to the overall status of the theory. So these guys are saying, maybe you should do something with atomic clocks because what we're doing isn't working. And that's where Haffel and Keating come in with their experiment. This is where they try to, use redshift and atomic clocks for evidence of time dilation, which would, prove relativity and provide the physical mechanism that they need as well. But the results of this were basically the drift rates of the clocks was very inconsistent, and to make, they had to make a bunch of assumptions and stuff to get everything back in line to match the Einstein's predictions. And so on the first paper that they published, they got these results. And then after some mathematical finessing and massaging, they got results that brought it more in line with the predictions. And we don't even have the actual equations that were used. The slide that this is taken from is from a paper where a guy just kind of guessed and reverse engineered what it could be. So and he ended up with the same amount that that they published. So you can just, mathematically finesse it, finesse the numbers with whatever you need to if you understand that sort of thing. And this guy, clearly did. And that's what he did. So it should be noted too that the Haffel and Keating experiment was done from east-west circumnavigation and west to east, and they declined to do a north-south circumnavigation because they said that the Earth's magnetic field would be too strong and it would impact the results too much, and they wouldn't be able to get any discernible information from it. But we all, us stationary topographical planers, may have some insights as to why they declined to do a north-south circumnavigation, even though that data would be just as valuable. So some possible things to explain the results of the Haffel-Keating experiment: electromagnetic retardation. So when light passes through a magnetic field, the wavelengths become retarded, and that can cause the phase shift that they saw. Same thing, relative motion. The clocks also naturally drift apart and experience quote unquote time dilation. And when they're in motion and in planes and they're carrying them on and off the planes and stuff, there's a lot of room for error, and it's just not very conclusive evidence. And just because they mathematically massage the numbers to support their thing, it's not evidence. And we got gravitational waves, and we're almost wrapped up here. This will be real quick. So the gravitational waves are predicted or observed from the LIGO stations, and they come from a bunch of data sets that are that they predict what the fringe shift would be, if two black holes of certain sizes and stuff collided and whatnot. And they've got all these simulations and data sets for it. And this is the press announcement for their first detection, which was GW 150914. This is their press announcement. And
Can't hear it.
oh, okay, so basically, dude's just saying with almost no enthusiasm, or he's just dead inside. Really, he's just like, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We detected gravity waves. He's super stoked about it, but why he doesn't display any genuine enthusiasm is probably because he knows about this. The collaboration, this is from LIGO's website themselves. This is where they injected blind data into into the data set that would match an observation that they got, and they all thought that it was real. And so anyway, we're just going to read about what happened with that. The collaboration knew that the detection could be a blind injection, a fake signal added to the data without telling the analyst to test the detector and the analysis. Nevertheless, the collaboration proceeded under the assumption that the signal was real and wrote an approved scientific paper reporting on the groundbreaking discovery. A few moments later, according to plan, it was revealed that the signal was indeed a blind injection. So these people with their theoretical math have no idea, like they're on the receiving end of what the detections would be, and they have no idea that that it was just simulated in their system.
All right,
And
folks.
this particular sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Call's about to end, but I'm about to kick it back up, get in the chat. I'll post the link. Everybody, all you lovely audience members, just sit tight for a brief moment while we go ahead and get this kicked off once again. Why do we do it this way? Because we don't want to give Google a dime. All right, and that's my prerogative. All right, copy link. Let's go ahead and thought there was a moderator. I am the moderator, Mischief Brew. This was the presentation portion. All right, there we go. All righty. Back to it. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Feel like we lost 2.
Shane will be back.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back. All right. So we are gotta get some spice here, right? We've been presenting, it's been fun, learned a lot. But this is the true
Roof
Earth
has a question.
debate. Ruher, go ahead.
Oh, you're wrong, Roof.
Just waving to Shane again.
Yeah, so that was basically it. And just one more thing about the LIGO gravitational wave detection. That particular gravitational wave was detected while they were rebooting the system for maintenance, and the system that they have in place to prevent like false positive detections wasn't online when they made the detection. So this is how thirsty they are to get their proof. It's like embarrassing at this point, you know.
Yeah, it definitely seems.
All right, so
pretty
that
desperate.
was the presentation. I hope you guys
that was
enjoyed.
that was a shitload of work, Alan.
Oh
Thanks,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, I got several notes here. They're not too extensive. I could like scattergun them, and you can like pick from the list, and we can go against those. But first off, I'd like to say it looks like most scientific geniuses are badasses, and they have mustaches. So I don't know if those two
Dude.
correlate.
There definitely is, man. There definitely is.
Okay. So saying that the guy commenting saying that why don't the tails of comets break up as they near the sun's location? Do you know if that guy's does he know what he's talking about when he even asks that question? Another one would be LIGO. Okay, so you're saying the guy wasn't displaying enthusiasm. The existence of LIGO proves that the Earth isn't flat underneath it. It's level the entire existence, and it's only what's the word? Not it's horizontal the entire distance, and it's only level in one location. So what's the explanation for that?
Sorry, say that again.
It is completely horizontal and flat down both of those arms. Yet it is not level the entire distance. It's only level in one location on it. So why would that be the case if the Earth is flat?
Can I phrase it differently?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, the LIGO tube as built is straight, but the elevation along that tube changes with the curvature of the Earth.
the
Right, so you
terrain has, features and stuff like hills and valleys and stuff. I don't understand like what
Yeah.
you think.
You-
No,
I think
it's completely straight. You could set up like little rulers
No, I'm
the
talking
entire
about-
length of it.
No,
Waterworld,
I'm saying though.
you have a question, my friend?
Oh, I was going to ask Demon, what proof do you have of comets? Because I'm old enough to remember sitting in high school and looking through a magazine and seeing Comet Kohoutek was supposed to come by in early 1974. And I did my best to go out and look for it for 3 or 4 or 5 nights with my telescope. And there was no Comet Kohoutek. They told me it burned up going around the sun. And then in 1986, Halley's Comet was supposed to make a visit after 1910. So I went out and did the same thing. And we're supposed to see Halley's Comet for up to 6 months, but really good for 3 to 6 weeks. I never saw it once. Never saw it whatsoever. And the only photos or anything we have of comet of 1910 with Halley's Comet is just photos, which that can just be fabricated. There is no proof of comets whatsoever. I went and looked out for Hale-Bopp.
Yeah.
Hale-Bopp was supposed to come through. Didn't see it.
I
have been told Hale-Bopp, Comet Kohoutek, and Halley's Comet I could see, and I never saw them. And I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you this. I know, I was saying this in Cosmology Tartaria tonight before we came on here. You guys, you ladies, since 1958, if you adjust for inflation, you have had approximately 8 to 10 trillion with the T, 12 zeros behind the 8 or the 10, adjusted for inflation, to tell us we live on a spinning, watery, curvy, bendy ball. 8 to 10 trillion dollars, and you still come on and you have your academics at how many thousands of universities. Then you go down to your Loons and your Craigs. And
can we stick on the comet though?
Don't interrupt. I'm not going to interrupt you, okay?
You did though. I was asking a question already, but
I did not interrupt you. You and then you come down between Loon and Craig and not Professor Dave, and then we come down to Discord, Facebook, and TikTok. The greatest minds in the stationary topographical plane. We have, I believe, a few of them right here. Obviously, Austin is the most brilliant minds, but we get stuck talking to you people down here that have 8 to 10 trillion dollars of past history since 1958 going for you, and all you can do is lie. Why is that?
Okay, so those are two different questions. I'll answer the first one about the comet. I witnessed Hale-Bopp comet when I was a kid, 1995. I went outside and I witnessed it with my own two little people. I'm sorry. Hold on, I was speaking, Jim.
I went outside and looked for it.
Jim,
and I didn't
I need you to refrain from interrupting. Thank you.
Okay, my evidence for comets, I guess I witnessed them. I've seen it with my own eyes. The question I was already asking, though, that you jumped in to ask about comets was about LIGO. Why would there be a difference in elevation change if it's completely flat and it's actually level in one location? Why would that happen on a flat Earth?
Think they couldn't engineer it that way? Yeah, you think they couldn't engineer it that way? Like, I don't understand why you,
I don't think you get the question.
I don't understand how this is.
Let me explain it this way. So if you took rulers, like if you took 200 rulers down each of those lengths, right, and you set them up, and you took a laser level, and you were to set up a beam at like 1 or 2 inches, it's going to be hitting every single one of those rulers at that exact same height, the entire length. However, if you go to the end of it and you place a ball bearing on the ground, it's going to roll to the center of the gravity there where it's level.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. You understand
really
a LIGO
know.
tube is straight, right?
Yes. No,
Yes.
I get what you're saying. I just don't understand how you guys think that that's a proof of it.
Okay. If
you were
They
to
build
plot,
something on the shape of the Earth,
if you were to plot the elevation of the tube along that length at every 100 yards or whatever, and plot
Yeah.
that elevation,
Right.
that would end up with a curve, with a straight tube.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yes.
again, you don't think they could do that?
No, no.
It wouldn't work in reality that way.
So hold on, you
Am I
don't think
completely
that?
whiffing here? What?
No,
Yeah,
I think
if
that
you
I think
plot, let's say the Earth is flat, and let's say
it doesn't have to go off of the ground.
tube is perfectly horizontal with the flat Earth, right? If you were to plot the elevation of the tube along at various points, you would end up with a straight line, right? On a flat Earth. Yep.
You don't think that they leveled the ground before they did all that? And
We're
accounted for
talking
all
about
that?
the elevation
the tube
of the
flat?
tube. Right, the elevation of the straight tube. Okay? If you were to plot, let's say it's on an angle like this, even though the Earth is flat, and you still plotted those elevations, you'll still have a straight line, right? When you do actually plot the elevations of the tube, you get a curve because the datum from which those elevations are measured is curved. The tube is straight, but the ground underneath it is curving, right? So the difference between mean sea level and the tube, might be a lot at the ends and then comes up to a little bit in the middle and then goes out at the ends. Does that make sense?
Kind of lost me. Are you guys getting this?
So, yeah, I
No, I've
understand
been
what
lost
they're
for a
saying.
while.
So basically they're trying to say that because they designed the tube straight, right? And so picture it like this. Let's put it on small scale. You got a basketball, and then you got a ruler held above the basketball. So they're saying the LIGO tube is the ruler and the basketball is the Earth. And if you plot the elevation to the ground, then you can see a curvature. That I'm going to go ahead and steelman your argument and assume that you're claiming that this curvature represented is the exact 8 or whatever the heck you guys want to agree on the math is for the Earth curvature calculator. Is that correct?
Yeah, 8 inches per mile squared, whatever. Yep.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it maps directly to the.
Yeah.
Or you can just look at
It's not my claim.
the elevation data.
Yeah. So the data that they predict that comes out of this curved straight tube, they wouldn't know if
did
it
you
was
say curved straight tube?
Sure did. So they wouldn't know.
Okay, so I asked you at the
if they
start,
actually-
is that tube straight? And you said yes, right? You said yes.
Well, it goes
it's
in a
straight,
circle.
but you're saying that the ground's curving under it,
Yes.
so it's at a higher
Right, so
altitude.
the tube is not curved. The
Oh, you
tube
don't
is
think they
straight,
could design
correct?
it like that? Let's not beat a dead horse or whatever they say, right? I get what you're saying. We're good.
Okay.
We're moving on now. So back to
Okay.
what they actually detect, though. They don't. The actual point of it, even assuming we live on a curve, bullshit. Even assuming the Earth's curved, the data that they detect, they don't even know if it's real or not. They themselves were about to publish a peer-reviewed document that other people were going to review, and none of them, people reviewing reviews of this are going to be so far removed from the people that didn't know that the data was real or not. So it just doesn't matter. The proof that came out of it is just to make you guys happy.
I don't care about the data that comes out of LIGO. I asked you the question at the start. Does the tube need
verify that this thing is actually at the elevation, right? If you're making the positive claim that it's got this elevation that makes it look like it's perfectly matched with the curvature of the Earth, then I'd ask for you to present the data.
Cool.
I mean,
There's
are we-
LiDAR data. I'll have to dig around to find the LiDAR data, but yes, it's there.
Yeah,
I would
we
just ask this to Ruhif and Demon. I would ask this. Hopefully we can come back on again maybe next Friday and give us the data, Ruhif.
Yep.
You and I are on Troubling's Discord together, and we're on other ones. And we probably even DM each other. I want to see the data. I want to see the information because I'm not aware of it. And I want you to do me a favor, Ruhif, in the next week when we come back together. I want you to look into the Lorentz transform, which is 1 to the square root of 1 minus b squared divided by c squared. And I want you to tell me about it. So I'll look into your little thing about your tube. I want you to look into the Lorentz transform, and you and I can talk about it next week and who's ever here next week. Is that a deal, Ruhif?
I'll look at it for you, Jim.
And I'll look at the tube just for you and Demon.
Okay.
I like Demon a lot.
Let me
So,
try and find
anyway,
that now. Hold on.
So, thanks for letting me cut in. I'll go back on mute. Thanks.
So no globe evidence then, right, guys? I'm just checking to make sure.
Oh, that was evidence.
Like,
I mean, there was a claim made, but there wasn't evidence presented. So, I mean,
I would like to have a week to look at it, please.
Yeah, no problem. One other thing I was thinking about while I was watching the presentation, it seemed like what they would call quote mining for a lot of the things that you picked out. What convinced you that the theories presented couldn't have worked in the way they claimed they worked? And that was more to Alan.
Well, the quote mining wasn't necessarily like that was basically what I had to work with from the transcript. Like I have the full source thing that you can take a look at. It's kind of what made me take a second look at it, because whenever they do that, they basically it's just it's a dead giveaway, right?
Well, that's the
this. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna clarify. That's what convinced you that the theories couldn't be true.
No, that was just an argument that I found that is easy to understand and makes sense.
I mean, do you
That if
understand
space-time
like
curvature was to exist, then it would have to, either like to establish a cause and effect relationship between the displacement of the stars, you would have to have the accompanying redshift observations with it, and there weren't any. And because of the way Einstein's or just looking at the way that they changed from Newtonian mechanics to the way that Einstein's field equations and tensor metrics and all this calculate it. It's a completely different way of calculating, but it still has like the same results. So it's not it, but you can also people that have continued Newton's theories have also come up with ways to explain things that are predicted more by space-time curvature. So are their mathematical concepts also true? Like, who knows? But the way that they changed the system just kind of shows that the weight of Mercury and just to keep calculating it one at a time for things, it's an easy layup for them because you can just kind of fill in the blank with what you need. And I think that's really what they liked about the space-time metric system. And even dude said at the beginning of his thing where he was accepting, pushing the acceptance of the theory, he was like, it's a real shame that nobody can understand it unless they have an expertise in theoretical calculus and the theory of invariance and stuff like that.
Yeah, so just before you respond, Demon Stride, I've just been chomping at the bit too, because it seems like one thing I definitely don't want us to breeze over is the absolute piss poor method of data collection to even verify the positive claim that was being made at that time. So remember, if we're being on the contrarian side to the space-time argument, right? I mean, space-time is obviously the theory, the bending and warping of it. You can say that gravity, the downward acceleration, is demonstrable, right? Because we see things drop. I won't argue with you on that, but to say that that's caused by the bending and warping of a concept is absolutely fallacious. It needs, to have some good backing behind it, and when you get, attempted to be repeated, but it's like, man, that is kind of, we just want to breeze over that, and then try to get Alan to go into the positive claim of why he thinks what they're saying could not be true, right? No, it's not his burden to say why he thinks it couldn't be true. It's their burden to present enough to make it be true. Waterworld, go ahead.
I think that this is really a great panel. Thank you, Trebling, for hosting it. Ruhif and Demon are actually quite pleasant to talk with.
I agree, man. I agree.
For general relativity, the bending of space-time to be actually true, it must be physical. It has the bending and warping of space-time, general relativity, 1915, his field equations came out, November 25th, 1915. Supposedly Eddington and those two expeditions proved the bending and warping of space-time with just 2 slides or whatever you want to call them. So for the bending and warping of space-time to be true, it must be physical. It has never been proven to be physical. It's always been proven to be theoretical. And so until you tell me that there's some physical experiment that's been done to say that the bending and warping of space-time which is general relativity, is true, then you guys go ahead and get your $8 to $10 trillion, over what 58 to 23 is 42 plus, so over 65 years, and brainwash the heck out of the world.
Okay. Well, what about the JSWT images that help prove the gravitational lensing effects? They're even more profoundly explained through these new images. Yeah, I mean,
Are
Well,
you
not
able
take
to
that?
use a telescope to look at what James Webb sees? Have you ever seen gravitational lensing?
what kind of argument is that, Demon Stride? Come on, man.
Well, it's
That's super weak.
evidence.
Oh,
A picture is not
so
evidence of anything.
so yeah. So real quick,
Mm.
I can link you the highest publicly available raw data for the Discover satellite. I know it's not the one that you just mentioned, but just an example. And you could download this raw data and compile it for yourself. And what you'll find is that it's already been sanitized. There's no metadata on it. You can extrapolate anything from it. And when you compile it, it compiles into two sets of pictures, one of which has already been orientated in the correct direction. So it's probably already been compiled. And when you do photo forensic analysis, is on different data or different compilations of the raw data, you get varying results. Like there's nothing really conclusive that can be determined either way from it. So if you're going to argue that satellite evidence is your evidence, you would have to prove that it came from a satellite in space and stuff like that. And there's
Demon,
nothing you can do from your point of view to verify that
Demon Stride, go
or
ahead.
or authenticate it.
And
What I'm hearing is I don't accept the data or the evidence presented, yet I don't have any of my own to convince you otherwise. So I'm still sitting here waiting for your mountain of evidence.
on its
Other than no.
Shane has evidence. Look right here. Shane brought evidence. See this?
You know I don't like
Guys,
math,
this is
Shane.
this is what we call flat Earth evidence, right? Right on MCTune site. You guys know this /SE. Come on, go to spherical excess from the American arc of the parallel. What we have here, gentlemen, is several measurements of a totally flat Earth at 180 degrees, well within the margin of error displayed up here over and over and over again. So, evidence. Here you go. What do you guys got?
Well, I think MC Toon explained that quite well when he was on the show as to how that's not quite the.
Before you take it away, Demon Stride,
he asked.
Just to continue to be true to the rules, Waterworld's had his hand up, so go ahead, Jim.
Sorry.
Now I forgot. Anyway, it's interesting that from what I understand, that 1887, 1897 geodetic surveying that came out in 1900, 900 pages. I know Demon is on the side of the spinning, watery, curvy, bendy ball, fine, but that whole experiment was totally destroyed by Austin, a few days back. I mean, I believe it was Shane that actually went in and typed something in and found out. They went right to it and it explained everything right. That they actually reversed engineered everything for that experiment to come out with what they wanted. Spherical excess was already factored in before they did any measurements whatsoever. You guys should be ashamed of yourself because you've had $8 to $10 trillion over 65 years to prove your ball, and you have people coming on here and other places that destroy your ball every single day.
Demon Stride, go ahead, and then Ruhif, go ahead and present.
Well, I guess since Whitsitt isn't here to back up his claim, I guess I was unconvinced by his explanation for it. I'm still on the globe side.
Well, Shane was there, so maybe Shane was starting to do it. Thanks.
Do you know what Whitsitt's explanation was?
Are we talking about the spherical excess? For
the raw observations that they say before they have you guys say that it's the raw observations, quote unquote, but what's its argument was that before those observations are even recorded into the quote unquote raw data, their adjustments are already made to them with
No, that's a claim. I mean, I've not seen that verified.
Shane's got he's got it all highlighted in picture form. You can skip right to it and read exactly what they're talking about and how they came up with Yeah, a lot of it's all based on refraction and the presupposed radius of the Earth. Yes, it is. You can read it right from the document.
No, it's not.
You see-
It's right there.
There's no refraction left to right. These are raw measurements.
They
Are you talking
literally
about the
specify
adjustments they make?
lateral
Okay,
refraction, right?
Okay, guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
You can ignore the
They
what was
don't.
presented, but Ruhif, go ahead and present what you're showing us here. This is perfect Earth curvature math right here that we're looking at.
Pretty much, yes. These are raw measurements as well. There's 45. The ones that Shane showed a minute ago are very, very small triangles, right? Where the spherical excess is something like an arc second, right? Which is, the instruments are accurate to around an arc second, right? What Shane showed were these really small triangles, and yes, some of them, the raw angles add up to like a few arc seconds below 180, and some of them are an arc second or two above 180, right? The adjustments are not for spherical excess. They are, what was his name? Andrew Johnson on Flatzoid gave a really good visual demonstration of what these adjustments are. Basically, you have angles to a point from many different other points, okay? But those lines from those individual stations to that point don't necessarily intersect, right? There might be a big bunch of points where those lines intersect. There might be 6 or 7 or 8 of them, right? What they do is, using some statistical average, they work out where the most likely point is for that target and then adjust the angles to that, right? They're not adjusting for spherical excess. They don't make any adjustments to include spherical excess. They just make measurements. And on the screen, 45 arc seconds.
You got a question, Waterworld?
Yeah, from what I understand about that 1887 to 1897, I believe, I don't know if it was Shane or somebody else, they went into a app or something like that, and they typed in Controlled X. They typed that in, and it went to the assumptions of that experiment, that 900-page experiment, 1887, 1897, that was released in 1900. They went to, and it typed in, it went, and they said it went to the assumptions of what they were going to find using geodetic surveying on a ball. And it was even given to them before the raw data came out. Before they even did any experiment, they already knew that they were going to have excess, as far as going over 180 degrees. They were going to have that all before the data even came in. And you can type that in, Controlled X, and it's their words that it was done. It wasn't a flat earther's words. It was their words. So
now,
what
to be clear, Jim,
what are we talking about? We are talking about presuppositions. We are talking about assumptions. We are talking about reverse engineering. We are talking about Texas sharpshooter, where we shoot, we go find the bullet, and we draw a target around it and say, hey, we hit the center.
Well,
Who had their hand up first, Alan or Demon Stride?
The demon had
Alan
it
did.
first.
Oh,
did it?
mine's just real quick. Let me see if I can share this.
let's not go off Jim's claims, though.
Oh yeah, go ahead and finish. It'll take it.
Oh, so Jim, did you claim that they added spherical excess, or that they assumed that they would measure it?
They assumed geodetic surveying of a ball with 3,959 mile radius. They assumed they were lived on a ball. There was no assumptions that maybe they didn't live on a ball. Everything in geodetic surveying assumes a ball of 3,959 mile radius times 2 diameter times pi, 24,901 miles.
Just a simple
Everything.
yes or no to the question.
With that 1887 to 1897 experiment released in 1900, before they even started, assumed spherical excess over 180 degrees. Prove me wrong, Ruhef.
All right. So
the question was, did they adjust their measurements to incorporate spherical excess, or did they just know because they lived on a ball that they would measure it? You seem to suggest that they just knew they were on a ball.
They knew before. they presupposed, they assumed, they reverse engineered, they
All right,
they
what
sharpshooted everything.
Just answer the question, Jim.
we need to kind of
Bloody
go
hell.
just a little bit quicker because Demon Stride's going to leave at the top of the hour. So I just want to make sure that we can continue the conversation flowing. So the next point. Okay, so Waterworld, I'm guessing he's answering yes, that the measurements are baked in. Okay, just to answer your question.
Okay, he is demonstrably wrong.
All
And
right.
you know what?
Well-
you know what, Ruhef? You know, my good friend Ruhef from quote Down Under. You are demonstrably wrong on germ theory, and you are demonstrably wrong on the shape of the Earth. We'll just have to agree to disagree.
Well,
Thank
look,
you.
so you say wrong, but like you said, they also don't use refraction. Do you know that they use like persistent lateral refraction in this calculation?
There's no left to right refraction. Refraction is a vertical thing.
What is lateral refraction then?
What is lateral refraction?
Yeah. What do you think it is?
Well, it sounds like left to right thing, but
Wouldn't
how would
it
you
sound like it's left to
incorporate
right?
it?
Well, I
How would you
mean,
incorporate that?
here, look, it's on page 206. Here, I'll put it behind me since we don't have to
Yeah.
share.
All right.
Right? Nice and easy. You have it, right?
206.
Yeah.
Send me a link on Discord to the
Oh,
document.
come on, man. You have it. It's on McToon's site, mctoon.net/se.
Fine.
Man, he's done a lot of heavy lifting for us.
Yeah, dude. Why not use the wonderful provided source? So here it is, right behind me. So we use 99 angular corrections of the 33 triangles where we get the probable error of a direction below, where persistent lateral refraction is also shared in producing the above result. So you say no, I say yes. You know, it is what it is.
This question goes right to Jim. If you want to address this, Jim, you're saying we have all this money for all this time. How much money did Einstein need to produce his experiments?
Well, you know what's fascinating? It's a really great question, Demon. I'm going to miss you when you have to go. I'll see you tomorrow. It's really fascinating is that if you actually look into Einstein and his field equations that were released November 25th, 1915, he had to wait until 1919 with the two expeditions that Eddington was part of one of them. And they got two decent slides, what they said were decent slides. And that was the first time that Einstein's bending and warping of space-time was ever thought to be.
Oh, shit. You all right, Jim?
Drop the phone.
Oh.
Jim dropped us. It's okay.
I dropped the phone. I apologize. It was the first time. It was the first time that Einstein's field equations from late 1915 were ever thought to be proved. And it took these two slides that Alan talked about to give it any sort of proof. And so to answer your question, Demon, Einstein is a total fraud. Those field equations are a total fraud. And the only reason we talk about Einstein today is because November 6, 1919, a bunch of people got together, told the USA press and the UK press that Einstein was their boy. And Einstein woke up November 7th, 1919, the person who saved the ball.
Well, don't you think he should have been worth a lot more, in your opinion? I mean, your claim is that we got all this money to do all this science, but it doesn't seem like he was that wealthy due to it.
Doesn't talk about his back end grant money, bro.
I don't know if anybody knows how wealthy anybody is. I mean, it's just kind of hard to know how wealthy somebody is. My point, my friend, is that Einstein died well before NASA, I believe, well before NASA was started and their funding started in 1958, where the $8 to $10 trillion came from. So Einstein didn't have access to that $8 to $10 trillion adjusted for inflation.
Alan,
Right.
fire away, buddy.
Hey, I wanted to share a link real quick. If you can play this, or actually, I'll just present it and it'll be easier. 1 second.
Yep, go for it. Waterworld, you can put your hand down.
Yeah, and in the meantime, how's that reading coming, Ruhir? So I sent you all the links. Are you doing the required research to back up my flat Earth evidence?
I'm reading.
Okay. All right, cool.
So we have Ken Wheeler here,
Love it.
showing a physical mechanism for how to cause redshift and blue shift. So this is why this is important, right? Because space-time is nothing essentially, right? So nothing can't cause this. So this is why space-time has to be a physical mechanism. This is why the spectrum shift data from the that was supposed to be in tandem with the Eddington observations is so important, because without that mechanism, there's nothing. So here we go with our what's up, Demon? Do you want to get in real quick?
Yeah, I just want to point to like this. This isn't redshift and blue shift. He's representing here in this ferrocell using magnetism, and it's really I'll bite the.
Cool. We're gonna watch him explain what's going on here.
No, can't hear anything.
Oh, can't hear it. Okay. Do you want to share it real quick, Tribune? I can link you the timestamp too.
Send it to Shane to present or something, because I can't do it on mine since I'm screen sharing the.
Gotcha. Shane, I linked it in chat. If you could pull that up, I'll stop presenting real quick.
This chat, sure.
Yeah. And then just back it up like 15 seconds and then play at 1.5 speed. And when we get to 8 minutes, 35 seconds, you can cut it off.
What 1.5 speed good?
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. We just can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, I can't hear the explanation or anything.
Grab the audio through OBS and pipe it through your mic system.
How in the
That's
hell
a
would
lot
I?
of
Oh wait,
work.
hold on. How in the hell would I do that?
Dude, hold on. Share, present. Is there like a with? Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
Share tab then.
It had something for me to press to like bring the mic up.
This?
Now look closely and I'll explain it.
Is this
You
better?
see how this is
There we
blue
go.
now? As
There
it's
you
approaching,
Alright,
it went
cool.
blue shift. If I move it away, let's just look at this one pole only. Let's ignore this pole over here, okay?
Yeah, back it up to 618, please, and then start from there.
How can I shift that? Relative motion to the disparity of the electricity, i.e. light, which is a coaxial circuit, transverse electrical magnetic, longitudinal dielectric. Let's show you phase shift. Now look closely and I'll explain it. You see how this is blue now? As it's approaching, it went blue shift. If I move it away, let's just look at this one pole only. Let's ignore this pole over here, okay? You notice that this redshifted now? Let me move this closer to a person over here. Let's say there's a person on a little planet over here, and this is a star. Okay, now it's redshifted. Let's move the star closer to this person over here. You see how this blue shifted? Let's move it away and watch this blue. It's bluish green, but it's still blue shifted. Turn to red. Red shift. Blue shift. We're only looking at this pole over here. A second. I think I had a little power outage there. There we go. Blue shift. Red shift. Red shift, moving away from this relative point. Now let's take a look. Let me check my power connection here. Let's take a look at the other pole. Hold on a second. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at the other pole over here on the right side. So, orientate my magnet exactly. Okay, let's wait for it to appear. There we go. Let's take only a look at this. Blue shift relative to this person over here. Let's say this point over here. Blue shift, as it moves away relative to this point, we have red shift. You notice how it shifted to the red? Now watch it shift again. Remember, only looking at this pole on the right side of my finger, okay? Red shift, blue shift. Red shift, blue shift. Inverse to the other pole. Look closely. Nothing has changed other than disparity of EM retardation. It has nothing to do with space, has nothing to do with time. It is EM phase shift disparity, or EM retardation. This is also the differential that is programmed into every global positioning satellite relative to its motion. This has nothing to do with Einstein, has nothing to do with general relativity, has nothing to do with quantum mechanics. The universe is purely dielectric and magnetic. If you want to think of it as electrical, that's fine. Electricity is phi times psi, Q and Planck electrification. Electricity is a hybrid.
You can cut it off.
What's called gravity is nothing other than
I like it. That's a good explanation.
All right. So what's going on there is the magnetic field is causing the phase shift, and it's not nothing that's causing the phase shift, right? So
because that would be
continue, Demon.
That would be absurd on its face. Go ahead, Demon.
Is there a phase shift happening there? I didn't see a shift from red to blue at all. None of that was what he's claiming it to be. This magnets.
So it's not. I think you were looking for something a little too literal, Demon Stride. It's not like it was literally going to shift to be completely blue. It's just going to be slightly more blue in color from what it currently is. So it's all that orangish color. When you moved
you may
it,
need to watch the video like directly instead of through the stream.
I've heard that claim too. Like you need to be watching it yourself. No,
I watched it. It definitely shifts.
You might be colorblind, bro.
Yeah, you might be colorblind. That's
like
not an insult at all. That's
Yeah, because it clearly shifts like 100, like it just is what it is.
Like it
Yeah,
shifts as
like I
bad
can't
as the
tell my shirt
capsule.
is blue. Okay,
It
yeah,
shifts
whatever.
as bad as the new capsule does
No,
on that
no, but
SpaceX launch.
it's a slight shift. Like you might not see it, dog. Roof, you saw it? Yes or no? What do you think? What
I'm
are your
reading
thoughts?
the lateral refraction stuff.
Yeah, he's
Sorry.
still pondering Shane's
okay.
flat Earth evidence.
Yeah.
Might be a
Gotcha.
while,
Cool.
guys. Don't.
So I mean, it would seem unfair for us to all say that we see the same thing because we all believe in the same thing. But I mean, it's pretty evident, man. I don't
Jim, go
know
ahead.
how that could be in contention that it's not happening because you can see it.
I was going to give Demon. Is Demon gone now?
No,
There he is. Hey, I like that hat, Demon. That was
You have to do a
good-looking hat.
wardrobe change.
Hey, good looking hat. Hey, Demon, I have to give you a hard time because I like you so much. I referenced that the $8 to $10 trillion started in 1958, and you went back to, Einstein didn't get any part of that. Of course he didn't. He died before 1958, so he couldn't have got any of that coin from the taxpayer or the government or the borrowed money or the NGOs or the foundations of the world. So, it's a little bit dishonest of you, my friend, but I do love your hat.
I think mainly what I was going at is your claim being they have all this money to prove the science, but the science was proved before that amount of money was being handed out.
Was it proved?
Science was never proven, my friend, but we'll talk about it in the future.
We can talk about the proof and like what the burden of proof. Why is it always so low for anything that comes from the elite? They can just spin these fantastical stories that will just be accepted, but we can show clear errors in stories, and we get asked questions like, well, why wouldn't you believe that it's true?
I think mainly what I wasn't not why don't you believe it's true? My question was what convinced you that it wasn't?
I thought I articulated it pretty well. You can go back and listen to it.
Waterworld, go ahead.
Yeah, if Einstein's field equations were so awesome in November 22nd, 1915, why did it take to 2 expeditions and a bunch of people getting together at the Royal Society in November of 1919 with some really flawed evidence to make Einstein the boy? It took 4 years for Einstein to become the boy for the world. And that was only because the USA and the UK media took what they said at the Royal Society November 6th and published it, and everybody saw it November 7th, 1919. The whole thing is a house of cards, and we have some people that are calling you on it right now, and it's okay.
Yeah, I'm unconvinced.
Yeah, so what you'll find is space-time is often referred to as an inertial force, or a non-existent force, and non-existent forces can't cause redshift.
It's a beautiful claim.
My guess is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but Demon Stride, it would probably take us having a complete and utter mathematically working model backed up by... No? Okay. What would it take as far as your burden of evidence?
Convincing evidence to prove to the contrary.
Define convincing. What's convincing?
No, convincing evidence to prove your positive claims.
Right. What would you consider to be convincing evidence?
Well, I've been waiting to be presented convincing evidence. The evidence presented so far is a refutation of the current model. That's all that's been done so far.
Well, it's actually that there's no evidence that supports space-time curvature. Had I come across that there was a spectral shift and it was proven, that would have been super interesting and in favor for you guys to a degree where you couldn't even lie about it. It would have changed the entire nature of the presentation to be like, well, there is some validity here and we have to talk about this, but it's in fact the opposite. You have to find the cause and effect relationship between the alleged displacement of stars, which to this current day has inaccurate results and due to the same situation that Eddington went through.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think what I'd like to point to is some of the evidence you pointed at for red shifting and blue shifting. You were using spectroscopy image, like the little bars showing the separation, but like you didn't quite explain why red shifting couldn't be the cause of, space time shifting. It felt like a nut to me.
There was none observed.
Exactly. The evidence.
Einstein's predictions didn't match the observations, right? So you know what they say when the old observations don't match the predictions. You definitely tell everyone that it's solid information and they should go ahead and change all of cosmology and physics, and anyone that says different will be, shamed, shunned, discredited, and won't have any money. Guess who's not going to get funding for their projects?
I mean,
So
Demon Stride, you
it's
didn't find
pretty
it.
it's pretty self-evident.
I'm sorry, I'm breaking my own rules, but I just find it fascinating that, I mean, Demon Stride, you don't find it even a little bit curious that out of 30 something plates for the actual measuring tool, they only had 2 that they were able to get any meaningful data out of, and they were both in poor quality as noted by the observer. Like, isn't that a little weird?
Well, I mean, that's what you guys have put forth to say. You made a straw man of the situation to say it's so ridiculous. How could they even accept this evidence? Well, did you explain why they accepted the evidence instead of just saying they shouldn't have?
Well, he presented a very strong case of why they shouldn't have, and the fact that that they just did. So, I mean, why would we need to prove evidence that they did when it's just fact that they did, right? We're not debating that, right? We're on the same page that the bending and warping of space time, and then these equations that Eddington came up with. At least I'm assuming that you're on the same page, right? Or do you disagree that this is the origin and source of where these equations for redshift and the bending and warping of space-time came from? Like, which part of this do you have a problem with exactly?
It just, to me, it seems like a refutation and a nuh-uh to the body of science.
How could you differentiate between gravitational redshift caused by space-time curvature and
Magnets.
redshift caused by magnets, for example? Yes.
I haven't seen any redshift caused by magnets to begin with, so that's how I would
Oh,
differentiate.
That now who's
yeah.
doing the nuh-uh?
Well, I haven't seen any.
Listen,
Now
I
who's doing a
don't
big
mean
nuh-uh?
I don't mean to be a dick, but maybe you should get like a group consensus on that and see what other people see, because it's it's there. So
Okay. I'll look into it.
let's do a hypothetical, continuing the conversation as if you see what we're seeing and you're like, okay, now where would you go from here? What would your train of thought be on how you would differentiate between the two?
Well, all right. So how
If
about
such
this?
a shift exists.
What can I do? What can I do to do this experiment myself, to prove to myself that there is a red shifting and blue shifting of light based on magnetism? What should I do?
Or at all, for that matter.
Yeah, get the ferrocell set up.
Mm-hmm.
And do it yourself. All you need is a neodymium magnet, the 2 lenses, I forget what they're called, but they're special flat lenses. You get 2 of those. You get an LED strip to ring around it, and you get I forget what Ken Wheeler uses. You're supposed to use like petroleum jelly or something like that for the lubricant in between. Ken Wheeler actually uses a different thing, which I can look up for you. And then you can use a drop of your own blood, because the iron in your blood, produces the best effect without having to destroy the lens. And I mean, not destroy the lens, but having to take it apart and clean it out. Or you can use iron filings, but those burn into the images. But yeah, you can do it yourself to differentiate that. Or you could just ask some people to look at the pictures that I showed you. And
so talking about the red shifting equations and them coming from these failed experiments with dog shit plates or whatever, what's the mathematical equations from Ken Wheeler to explain magnetic redshifting?
I'm sorry, I had the AFK for a second. Can you repeat that? I apologize.
Saying how where this redshifting equation comes from is not based in reality, and they lied about it, essentially, is what you're saying. What is Ken Wheeler's mathematical equation to prove that magnets are red shifting and blue shifting the electromagnetic spectrum?
This is a well-known effect. It's called the Zeeman effect. You can look it up. It's already established lore in the heliocentric model religion, so you can look that up. And furthermore, like it's pretty self-evident, I guess you could say, because there's nothing bending it, right? The light isn't spectrum shifted before he puts the magnet on it, right? It's just
I'm
all
gonna
the same thing. So
well, I'm gonna pose this in hopes of intellectual honesty, and then I'm gonna let Waterworld go. But it's this, right? So when you even were asking for the experiment, I just felt like it was so disingenuous because you definitely didn't take that step when presented with red shifting of light due to the bending of space time when it was presented. You
I
simply
mean,
accepted it at face value. I think that you'll find that you can actually, like Alan said, you can find evidence of the electromagnetic effect causing a red shift and blue shift as a well-established effect. Can you find or can you present any experimental evidence that shows the bending and warping of space-time as the cause and effect of any red or blue shift?
I'd probably point back to LIGO.
LIGO is not a redshift blue shift
No, but
shift situation. It's detecting gravitational waves.
right, it
to
helps
do with.
put the basis for gravitational lensing effect that can happen. Yeah.
So to be clear, your position is to defer back to hypothetical data sets that are edited and regularly
they're
refined to
different.
match quote unquote predictions. And then when data is injected into the system, nobody can identify
Plus,
if
it's
it's
different.
authentic or not,
Plus, you
and they'll
different.
just go ahead and run with it. So I don't understand how that's how that like
Well,
sort
he
of reification of what
he
you
did
want to
a red
believe. I'm
herring
sorry,
too.
go ahead.
He did a red herring too because I mean, gravitational lensing and redshift, blue shift are different things, right? We were observing supposedly redshift and blue shift with the twinkling of the stars way back before we even had the observations of these bending galaxies from these super long distance observations. So they're two completely different things. And he's trying to make it seem like they're the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
it's
components of the same phenomenon.
Can you demonstrate that?
No, I can't right here on this call right here. No,
Can
I
you
absolutely can't.
point us to a
What I
link
would
to
what I can demonstrate is we have a difference in epistemology. You've been unconvinced of a position and can't quite explain to me why it's unconvincing, other than to it appears naysay and say it couldn't be, and ad hom their experiments.
I'll repeat it one more time for the audience. It's unconvincing because the experiment that was supposed to be done in tandem with the observations of the displacement that were supposed to back it up and establish a cause and effect relationship with the with any uh, displacement doesn't exist. They didn't find any, and they went ahead and did it anyway, and then use narratives to just catapult Einstein's theory into acceptance, when a lot of people rejected it. Like, I'm not the only one that's said this. That guy that came up with it is much smarter than me. Like, people have known about this stuff, and they've just ignored it and went ahead with it anyway. And you can't verify it to the point where you're now saying, where you're now looking at redshift, and sorry that you can't see it, but you're now looking at magnetic redshift and asking for a calculation to prove that it's a cause and effect relationship, when the guy put when the light wasn't shifted before he put it in a magnetic field, and then he took it away, and then it wasn't anymore. So, like, I don't know what kind of equation you're looking for, because when they came up with equations to predict how much redshift should be predicted, they didn't observe any. So, that's a real problem.
Just to like verify, you are claiming that Ken Wheeler's experiment there is analogous to the red shifting and blue shifting of the light of stars from the expansion of
It's a
space-time?
demonstration of a physical mechanism causing phase shift. It's not necessarily analogous to what to what you just said, but this is why it's an important distinction, that space-time would have to have caused redshift during the eclipse observations or with the Venus observations. Dude was saying, because you don't even need it to be from the eclipse. Like I was saying, it happens when Venus is near the sun as well. They could do it, and they didn't get anything. And that guy took multiple observations. You can go, if you want to like learn more about it, go back. I can link you the sources for that, and you could read the transcripts of it and just like look at how these people are talking, and they just completely breeze over it and just continue on with it.
It's hilarious.
There's no evidence.
You probably know more about the experiment and more about these people from today's stream and from Alan than you do from your own research. Correct me if I'm wrong, and yet you would sit here and say that you're unconvinced by his claims, like you know something of your own knowledge about the information that was presented. This is what we mean by
And-
you're
and-
just accepting this evidence presented from the top at face value, and it's really funny.
Yeah,
well-
because they've made certain claims, and to verify their claims and to bring their equations into physical reality, there has to be like if space time would have to be equivalent to a magnetic field. Like it has to be a physical thing that exists. It can't just be a math equation that you're looking for.
Well, can we at least agree that Alan didn't present any evidence? It was at least a refutation of the current model's evidence.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
In the True Earth debate, you are more than welcome to refute a model, so, and we do that with the globe all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, heliocentrism is basically depends on relativity and general relativity or special relativity. So going after it in this way and showing that there's no physical mechanism and basically dismisses how they account for all their orbital stuff and everything with it. It's literally just math, and without the mechanism, it's just math. So
It destroys the
Well, I think-
Michelson
I-
Merlin.
you can't really get away from that. And as I demonstrated, other people have solved these quote unquote math riddles with Newtonian mechanics and are consistent with Newtonian lore, but nobody cares anymore.
Right.
They're all on the space time grind.
I would say you claimed those things, but you haven't demonstrated them.
He provided the sources. He provided the quotes from the sources. I mean, what more?
Yeah.
What more does he need to provide?
Well, what I learned was that it was convincing to you.
You're not really answering the question of like what more he needs to provide specifically. Can you get specific, Demon Stride?
Well, I like an experiment actually showing the opposite, like not a Ken Wheeler video that doesn't like show.
So you want the
even,
negative? You want us to prove the negative instead of the lack of evidence of their positive claim being proven?
Well,
Hey, 1 second. I can address this. Hey, Jim, can you tell me who you ran into last night while you were taking out the trash?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was out taking the trash out, and Eddington came. I found Eddington was out there taking the trash, and we talked about his two slides from 1919. He said that was basically BS, and he said that they wanted to put Einstein in there because Eddington wanted to be known as somebody who helped elevate Einstein through the media of the UK and the USA. So, and then when I was talking to Alan last night, something really happened. I couldn't believe it. It actually happened while we were on. I looked to my right, and Lawrence was hovering above me to my right, and he came up and took some of my water, which water is level, like this here, and he took a sip of my water, and he said, general relativity, the bending and warping space-time is basically BS, but we don't want to believe in God because we don't want to believe in God, so we will go with something that's scientifically impossible because we haven't proven it, which is the bending and warping of space-time or general relativity. And Lorentz was basically just he might have been reading my thoughts because for something to be real, it has to be physical. And general relativity, the bending and warping of space-time, has never been proven to be physical. It's always been proven to be theoretical. So guys, I'm sorry. I believed in the ball for 62 years of my life, and I love you guys to death. I got so many more questions for you. I'm sorry Demon has to go. Maybe next week, Demon and I can continue on. Ruhif and I can continue on, definitely. Thanks.
I was gonna say, it's like that's crazy that you say that, because last night I was taking my garbage out, and no joke, Einstein was out there pulling his garbage out. Like, what are the chances? Like, when did you move in, right? And so we got to talking, and he actually showed me all of the evidence. I'm not going to present it because that'd be rude. Like, I even have our conversation recorded, but I wouldn't present that because that would be too rude.
Hey! Alan has the story about Einstein. It might be better than yours, Damon. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, so actually, when I was walking my dog the other night, I carry my 8-inch pocket Meade telescope with me at all times, just in case I need to make an observation of stellar parallax or anything like that, or displacement of stars due to a gravitational field. So I pull out my 8-inch pocket Meade because I saw a little twinkle in the star, and I thought maybe it was parallax shifting or something like that. So I, pulled out my pocket meter and I started making my observations. I got out my logbook, started charting out the arc seconds and stuff. I used my protractor too. I used the sextant. Didn't get any spherical excess from the sextant measurements, oddly enough. But anyway, so I'm looking at this star, right? And I zoom in with my 8-inch pocket meter, and you're not going to believe what I can resolve with this bad boy. So a lot of people can only see 2 to 3 arc seconds, on average. Not me, brother. I'm on the fractions of arc seconds. So anyway, I'm looking at this star in plain view, like no one's ever seen before, and you're not going to believe this, brother. So the full zoomed in, full resolution picture of the star was Einstein. He appeared in the star. Yeah.
Well, I can top you. I can top you.
No. I'm not done though. And
Call is
I
about
asked
to
him, I was
end.
like, I said, Einstein, am I on the right path? And you know what he did, brother? He winked at me. I got Einstein's nod of approval. So I don't, so the fact that you met him behind a dumpster, doesn't override my personal experience.
All right, I'm gonna get the call going. This will be the last one, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. Super funny stuff here. Okay, so yeah, I'll post the link here in just a second. Oh wait, you guys can literally see the play-by-play now, so you know exactly where we're at. Boom. It's really interesting. I also ran into Einstein the other night while I was taking out my trash, but that's a story for another time. I was going to save it for the Tribune show. All right. Let's get it. Here we go. First, the YouTube. And then the Rokfin. He straight up married her. He sure did. Einstein sure did. All right, let's get him in here. Welcome back.
Thank you.
That's so crazy. I also ran into Einstein the other night taking out the trash. Like, is he just making his rounds? Like,
Dude, he's visiting all of us.
Ghost of Einstein's past. All right. Let's see if we get Shane back in here. Demon Stride did say he had to go at the top of the hour, but we'll see if he comes back.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Demon Stride, man. Like he was really chill though, to be honest with you. So.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's a great guest.
As promised.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Huge shout out to Shane.
Welcome back, Shane. Welcome back, Ruhif. You've been quite a long time. How's your studying going, Ru?
What's his name? I don't know how to say his name. Shader Mocha in the chat. I'm trying to analyze some.
So
some
you're crowdsourcing your help and still failing. It sounds like.
I'm searching the coastline like 10 miles north and south of where this observer might be.
Lateral refraction is blowing up your mind because I asked you before and you vehemently clarified that no possible except when presented with the equation for just such that. It's mind-boggling, right?
Yeah, like persistent lateral refraction. How does the wind always go in one direction? Don't know.
Well, you remember your critique for FE laser core?
Yes.
What was that?
That they have no idea how to account for refraction. They think it's like take a refractive index on one side of the lake, take a refractive index on the other side of the lake, do like one Snell's law calculation, and Bob's your uncle. That's terrible.
Yeah. They did exactly the same thing in this one. Turns out. Go figure. What? All right, isn't that weird? So like,
shit.
Incorrect.
Isn't that weird, bro?
You should check that out too.
Incorrect.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it would rock my world too.
Let's get the clarification.
I mean,
yeah, it's a 900 page
That's not
document.
how it's done.
You don't think so?
How was it?
Like lateral refraction, right? You need some sort of gradient side to side, right? Wind is always going to cancel out that gradient side to side. So, how do they get persistent winds over the course of, I don't know, 10, 15 kilometers? Yeah.
Well, I mean, so we started with they're not accounting for refraction, and then they're actually accounting for refraction. Not to mention they're accounting for the curvature of such refraction, right?
Oh, a tenth of an arc second, by the way.
Oh,
a tenth of an arc second.
Well, we're determining spherical excess to less than a 100th of an arc second. If you remember, Bob, the science guys freaked out.
The one I posted was 45 arc seconds, right? It's the bigger the triangle, the more spherical excess, which is why, the one I posted doesn't really, what's the word? the smaller triangles where you have to make adjustments to the angles, like with the uncertainty of where the target is.
Look at all these
This one
ones.
don't have to.
So,
Can't find this fucking building.
well, I mean, did you read the page 206 where I quoted you from?
Yeah, I need to research it more, but I'm.
You didn't find sufficient in the paragraph before and after
That's
with the
code
complete
for
context within the document that it appeared.
That's code for I didn't find what I needed to debunk what.
Yeah,
you're
like
finding,
I didn't like what I saw, so
I'm gonna need a little bit more.
No, you know, I love this shit better.
I know, dude. The fact that you're stumped has me like, just excited. It's fun.
Okay, I'll get back to you at some
All
point.
right.
Jay. 5:15. Isn't it? I just want to find this fucking building.
I mean, because you watched the McToon thing, you think you'd be prepared for this, right? Demon Shock just copped out immediately. He's like, I say whatever McToon said. That seemed to settle it. That was so argument.
Corrections.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know. McToon seemed to handle it, even though he didn't really when pointed with this, he quickly changed the data set.
Yeah,
right?
dude. It's really interesting too, Ruhif, because if you remember back from the first time that we talked, that I said, how you were referring back and checking your measurements against, radians and all that of the presupposed globe, and I said that, if a mathematical system had been constructed to, turn your regular everyday observations into a quote unquote globe by I don't know, let's say hundreds of fractions of an arc second, you would be so far removed from it that you would do your observations and compare it against the presupposed globe model and go, oh my god, it matches, and look, what do you know? It turns out that exactly what I said is. Now, I'm not claiming to be clairvoyant, but like I said, I did speak with Einstein, so I don't know.
He has firsthand knowledge. It's primary material.
Yeah,
You guys
I'm about to
worked
write
on
it.
that
I'm about to write an affidavit, dude. I'll be honest with you, Jim can riff so easily. He just flows right into it.
He can talk. I'll give you that. Yes.
Yeah, he kills it, bro.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about fractions of an arc second. Yeah.
Yeah, us neither, too, dude. Same here.
I did have a question. I did have a question for Ruhif. I know I didn't wait for I put my hand up, and I'm sorry, Troubling. Can I ask my question to Ruhif?
Yeah.
Okay. Ruhif, I want you to look down deep inside of your soul, into your soul. Yeah, real deep. And I want you to look inside your tiny, invisible, micro believing self that believes that those ingredients inside that syringe are good for you.
Oh.
That light can bend around your ball to prove your ball. I want you to look inside that, that heart of yours, that soul of yours, and tell me something. What % of your belief in the ball of 24,901 miles is math, and what part of it is experiments if it adds up to 100%? So what part do you depend on the math to tell you live on a ball, and what part do you depend on experiments to tell you live on a ball?
So math that has no correspondence to reality, I would equate that to 0%. Math that does correspond to reality and experiments and observations, 100%.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
I don't just do math for the fun of it.
If you're gonna read and continue studying, Rue, if you don't mind, I'd like to present something interesting.
Yeah, good. I'll go on mute for a sec. Oh, do you want to? Are you presenting it to me or?
No, just in general. You can chime in if you want.
Cool.
All right, cool. All right, share your window. See if I can get the audio. Mute website.
I feel like this is kind of unfair. It's like 3 legends versus Ruhif, who is himself a legend, but it's still kind of stacked, dude. I kind of feel bad.
Oh man, I haven't earned legend status.
Actually, Ruhif is kind of like up there. He's just kind of out there too.
Well, no, he is. He's respected in the Glober community, and he's one of the people that I respect. So,
well, I'm still reeling back at what you just said. 3 legends. Who's left out in this?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Well, you know who you are. Okay.
All right. Are you guys able to see? Let me know if you can hear this. If you can't hear it, Shane, you might have to take over as my technical advisor.
Yeah, we're always ready.
All right. See if you guys can hear this.
Fail. Fail. You guys share like So it seems that we're
Here?
doing Google Meet. So Google Meet likes Chrome extension window direct browser share. That's what it likes.
Oh, okay. I'm on Firefox. All
Ah.
right. Let me I'll come prepared next time. Let me send you this link real quick, and if you can play it if you don't mind. It's gonna be 2 links, but here's the first one.
Whoa, I can only do one.
We'll do one at a time, make it easy.
Whoa. All right, that's cool.
Here's the second one. Cue these up.
What are we about to look at?
We got one more. We're gonna look at a sunset on a flat Earth and a sunset on a alleged globe.
Is
And
this
see
like
if there's
the
any see if they look the same.
is this kind of like the disappearing coin on a table trick?
No, I'm not familiar. Whenever you're ready, Shane.
I'd really like to be able to measure the exact distance.
I'll put it on
and the angle.
1.5 speed, please.
I'd really like to be able to measure the exact
Oh, yeah, that's way
distances
better.
and the angles, like
This guy talks
precisely
slow.
to see when all this stuff starts. Here you'll get the mirroring effect at this distance. It's really neat because when you focus in on just a light, all the stuff in the background goes black, almost like a solar filter. And the objects converge, as you saw. And now here is really cool because it starts setting like a sun almost. The bottom is getting cut off. And it gets more and more. This one was a little out of focus when I snapped it. But as you can see, as I kept going, there was more and more the bottom was getting cut off until eventually you just don't see the light anymore at all. I'm not really, they keep saying, show me a setting sun, here you go, on a flat plane. And the light gets even less and less and less till we barely see anything. And then finally the two mirroring images can converge on each other. There you go, the sun is set.
All right, so keep those images in mind and how it looked. So, and to recap, basically, you can go ahead and pause it. So to recap real quick, what he did was he had a flashlight on the ground in a warehouse that's level and or curved, depending on how many lights in the warehouse you measure. So he puts his camera on the ground at like 10 feet, 20 feet, walks away from it, and he shows the comparison and what happens to the light. And keep in mind, at all times, the light is above the surface of the warehouse, obviously, right? I don't think anyone would argue that there's curvature in the warehouse and there's like refraction or something like that going on. And the flashlight is actually behind it, but the light's refracting up. I think we can all agree that the flashlight is physically above the floor in that. So anyway, this is what a sunset looks like on the quote unquote globe and or flat Earth, depending on, what lights in the sky you believe.
Yo, you want me to go to the next one?
Yeah, play the second one. You can mute that and put it on 2 point or the maximum speed.
Got to see the green flash there. That was cool.
Yeah. As you can see, very similar shape and very consistent with what it looked like when the light was physically above the thing that it's casting its light on. And then you can go ahead and play the other one out. You could put that on ×2 speed as well.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, this is good. Same sunset, the same location, and one ridiculously okay. I got it.
Yeah, and then so anyway, it just looks very similar to what Zach showed with the warehouse and the flashlight. And in the heliocentric model, they say that the ball Earth rotates away from the sun, and that's what the sun's physically going under the ball or whatever, or we're rotating away from it rather, and the curvature of the Earth is like blocking it out. It looks oddly similar to a light source, that's above above the surface at all times, and it's just moving away from you.
I like it.
Very cool.
What do you think, Ruif? Yeah, I like that face. It seems exasperated and defeated.
I'm not watching. I'm still trying to find this building. I've got the Instagram account now, and I'm trying to find the photo so I can reverse
Yeah,
engineer where it's taken from.
that'll probably prove the globe. You're right.
Yeah, dude. Good luck with that pursuit,
No,
bro.
I
let us
like
know
to
how
see
that
too far.
goes.
I like to see too far observations. They go, oh, we shouldn't be able to see this, and they always work out
Dude,
to have some
Dude,
error.
Rudolph
I don't want to
shrinks.
put words. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I heard that you were of the opinion that if there was enough refraction, you could like see your own ass. You know, if you're looking through a telescope. I've heard that that's your stance.
There exists the density gradient such that the Earth, the light will curve at the same rate of the Earth. All right. So theoretically, if you had a massive telescope and there was no scattering or anything, you'd see your own ass. Yeah.
Well, Ruben and I want to argue, like, long range observations on the ground level with you, for instance. Like, is there an instance where I could possibly win?
No, close to the ground, no.
Why?
No.
Why?
Yeah, because close to the ground, the gradient could be anything.
So you can literally invoke infinite refraction, and you damn well will, won't you, Rogan?
Not infinite refraction, infinite radius.
It's like 900.
Yeah, infinite radius.
Infinite gradients, bro.
Infinite radius, yeah. When I say infinite radius, all I mean is that the gradient will curve light at the same rate as the curvature of the Earth. That's all I mean by infinite radius.
Well, that ignores.
Have you ever seen light bend like that? Like, is there a thing where you?
Well,
no, I'm talking about like. No. I'm saying like, say you have a sphere, right, and like a laser. Is there any way you could like use atmospheric pressure or something like that, or like gas or anything, like to refract the light in such a way that it bends around the sphere? Because that's what you're saying, right? Or with enough refraction
could
gradient.
I do that could I induce that on a small scale? Yeah.
Did you ever change the course of light to bend around a ball?
Yeah, of course.
I'd like to see that.
Light bends?
I would like to see that. You see bend light around a ball. That'd be pretty cool to see. But Waterworld's had handed grade for quite a while, so go ahead.
Rudolph, I would love one subject matter expert in academia, credentialed academic, anywhere to agree with what you just said and to actually come on. I don't care whether it's a YouTube, whether it's here, whether it's Cosmology Tartaria, Shane's server, somebody credentialed academic who agrees with you that light can basically gradients or whatever bend around your ball. I want one to come on so maybe Alan, Shane, whoever, Austin, can ask him some questions. Can you find me one, please, besides you?
I know that Andrew Thomas Young will agree with me.
Can you get?
I doubt he. Hang on.
You get him.
Have you heard? You can reach out to him and confirm that for yourself.
I'll have to see that to verify that you've relayed that
and furthermore, there is a credentialed academic professional who will be on Shane's Discord. What day will Professor Parks be there? Shane?
Sunday night for us. What the hell is
Sunday,
that in Australian time?
Refraction.
Who cares? Yes. So yes. Cool. So anyway, he'll be there, and you can ask him about it because I actually asked him. I said, "Well, how far is too far? You think?" And he agrees that the 8 inch per mile square situation, observations beyond that would be too far. So I linked him a really good video where the guy had three. You see too far for physical. That the physical curvature of the Earth would obscure what you're seeing at a distance because the Earth's curving.
Yeah, I'll talk to him absolutely. And the question that I will ask is: can the gradient exist that will bend the light at the same rate as the curvature of the Earth? He will say yes.
And when he says hypothetically, yes, but like that's a ridiculous position to hold.
No, I'll show him measurements.
How are you going to show him measurements if you can't falsify them?
He'll probably.
I can show you measurements of the gradient being stronger than the curvature of the Earth.
Ruhif,
gladly show him.
Ruhif, I have not. I've seen some of the young stuff that that you referenced. I've seen some of the young stuff. In no way does he say or even hint at agreeing with you. I'm sorry, my friend.
Does. He absolutely does.
He does not.
I've got to write that down. Hold on.
Yeah,
Andrew Thomas Young.
An excellent demonstration behind Shane of the way perspective works.
Andrew Thomas Young.
Yeah,
So the question for Andrew Thomas
love
Young
this
is:
one.
can light bend at the same rate as the curvature of the Earth? Yeah.
Can light do what Ruhif says and has been saying? That I want to ask him, and you can spell it out for him. Does he agree with you on what light can do to prove the ball?
To prove the ball.
I want to know
light
if he
bend at the
agrees.
same?
I want to know if he agrees with Ruhif from Australia.
This guy kind of looks
So-
like you, Ruhif. What do you think? A little bit?
Jesus
No,
Christ.
no, it's because you shaved your head. All right.
If you had hair.
Before
In
you
fact,
looked
look at
like
the
you.
line. See the line? No, the question for Andrew Thomas Young will be: can light bend at the rate of curvature of the Earth? And he will answer yes. 100%.
The answer, the question for Mr. Young, it will be: do you agree with Ruhif's stance on what light can do around the ball?
It was
Yep, okay.
Hold on, this is very clever how you worded that, Ruhif, too, because I mean we know that it can, right? If the Earth was hypothetically curved, then of course it can, under certain conditions, do
And
that.
such
But
a
you're
and
always
such a
acting like it's
gradient
always doing that.
consistently existed. Like it's such a.
What do you mean?
You're
It
a
measurably
nice
does
guy.
exist.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, get this Professor Parks
Well, I
on
just think it's
or
funny,
Andrew
like
Thomas
when we go
Young.
to the observations, you always act like the refraction has to be going to the curvature of the Earth, and like even if your model was true, it would only be doing that sometimes.
Oh, so yeah, the black swan is a sometimes event, correct? Yeah.
I didn't
If you
reference
get
the black
above-
spawn. You actually cut me off before I finished. I was referencing the three lights over the frozen lake.
Like a what's his name? Grouter 1?
Not sure who did it, but probably.
but
I think
Northern.
Tribune knows.
Yeah, I think it's Grouter 1, right? It was like 7 miles. You had different colored lights.
Sounds correct.
And I'll just show you data that shows that when you're over ice, you get really strong refraction.
In
I've got
which
the
way
data.
was
You
the
guys
light
done it?
bend according to those conditions with the cold?
Generally over ice, it bends strongly downwards, right? Because you've got a really, really cold surface, and often you'll have a temperature inversion, right? So you'll have a cold surface and a hot, or warmer air above it, which results in strong refraction.
There's no evidence of that whatsoever.
Okay, Jim, if you say so.
There is no see, you can say things to prove your ball, and I can say things to prove my stationary topographical plane, but my 8 inches per mile squared that you guys invoke doesn't exist. Your experiments proving motion around the Earth don't exist because Michelson-Morley, 1887, and every experiment going to 1930 and after say that there's no 30 kilometers per second around the sun. Now, Michelson-Morley said nil. It could be 6 kilometers per second. It could be 4 kilometers per second. But the sidereal rotation of the sky above us can translate down to the Earth and cause things like when we put our hands over bath water, we can move the water without actually touching it, but it doesn't translate to the bottom of the bathtub. Ruhif, I'm sorry, my friend, your ball does not exist, and we're going to keep beating that into you, but you will keep moving the goalpost and keep believing in a fairy tale. All right.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Jim out. Drops the mic.
All right. Yeah, like I said, I'll show you all the data. In fact, I'll bring up one here. This is Alert Canada. 1 second.
This would be something pretty easy for the Globers to test out, though, to show us that the bending would happen just like you're saying, that it would just go nice and even with the curvature. Why don't you just get a ball, get it really, really freaking cold, like freeze it, and then take a laser, and then just show us the laser bending due to the coldness of the ball, just like you guys do with the heat with the candle trick that you guys try to do. So just do the same thing.
Greatest Sapien did that, where he brought in a tray of ice, and you'll see it bend towards the cold. That's been done.
I can't wait to see all this, Ruhif. I can't wait.
I'll give you links, Jim.
But I would want to see it. I would want to see it extended out, and that it actually bends and consistently holds like the same elevation over the cold instead of just grounding into the object.
You guys would be wasting your time to argue long distance observations on the ground with Ruhif. I'm just saying it again.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Do we agree
should
that
get rid of the dead horse or whatever.
Yeah, but do we
Oh,
agree
it's
that
a
refraction?
rule.
Do we agree the density gradient bends light?
Does the density gradient bend light? Yes.
Do we agree
Yes,
that
okay.
light travels, though, is a better question. It's more fun to
Yeah.
answer.
But so, Alan, you agree that density gradients bend light. Do we have a density gradient in the atmosphere?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the atmosphere does bend light. Okay.
My contention isn't that it's not hypothetically possible, as that's not what I'm saying. I agree that hypothetically it's hypothetically possible that the sun's a non-rotating, non-charged mass that has a gravitational field that exists outside of itself, and bends space-time curvature in such a way that other orbiting celestial bodies will conform to the curvature space-time directly.
Wow.
So I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's demonstrable
Al-
that it bends
I
light.
think Alan eats Ruhiff's globe dinner script for dinner.
No,
That's what I
almost
think.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
I think
know,
that there is plenty of evidence we can show you that density gradients bend light.
Dude, I
and
just
our atmosphere-
removed the possibility of a globe existing at the beginning of the presentation because heliocentric magic requires general relativity to be true. So if if that's not true, and if that's not true, then we can't be a ball. Well, you know what? I'll give it to you. Maybe not, because if you solve everything
that was
with Newton
easy.
stuff, no, I'll give it to you, because if you solve everything using Newtonian stuff, where everything's a spherical mass attracting mass, those equations work too. So I could conceive that to you.
Yeah, I have no, I don't care about relativity and that sort of shit.
Yeah, I know.
He just cares about refraction. That's his
Yes.
thing.
He doesn't care if we're
Yeah.
moving through the universe or not. He just cares
Doesn't matter
if
to
we're
him, no.
curving.
I can refract to see my own ass. I have my globe. Stay away from me. Where's
Yeah.
the other picture?
No.
Hold on.
Jim,
I got to
fire
answer
away.
a question in the chat, actually.
And that's really. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Riff.
Can he tell me how to fucking pronounce his name? Shay Demoka. Wouldn't this light bending prove that you couldn't possibly know the positions of stars? No, because we know the structure of atmosphere. We can calculate how much it should bend. The end. It's the refraction adjustment in celestial navigation.
Now, is there a spherical excess correction in celestial navigation?
No.
Oh, why?
Ruhiff does
Why
light.
would you need one?
Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
What?
Ruhiff does,
Bro, are you for real, dog? Yo,
Why
if
would
anyone
you
has
need a
any
spherical
questions
excess
about
correction?
refraction, hit your boy up, Ruhiff.
Ruhiff,
He's a really good resource on refraction. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Ru.
Yeah.
Hey,
why
Ruhiff.
would you need a spherical excess calculation in celestial navigation? There's no need for it at all. There's no triangles.
Point.
Ruhiff
Oh.
does
Okay.
for your bendy or curvy light. Does it have to go through molecules to be able to do that, of heat or
Yes.
cold or whatever, or does it just do it because you wanted it to do it?
It hits molecules, yes.
Okay. I love that
So, hang on.
answer.
See how I answer that really
I
quickly and
love the
succinctly?
answer, and it was a great answer. Now, here's the question, Ruhiff.
Cheers.
When light goes into water molecules, heat molecules, whatever it does, when it goes into the top, sides, bottom, or the center of the molecule, it bends or changes direction inside the molecule, and
Yes.
then when it exits the molecule, then it continues in a straight line. For your little fairy tale to work, it would have to go into the molecules all at the same angles, all at the same places, and do that continually around your bend. That is impossible to happen and that's why you get that little gift that we see that Austin did with McToon, and we showed a lot where we see the shoreline from the water, and it's kind of going up and down like that. That's what happens, because it can't always go in the same side of a molecule to get your bending like you want. It goes like this, and that's what you get when that gift shows us that it goes up and down, because it's not going in the same angle of every single molecule and bending around your ball. Ruhiff, you live in a fairy tale. Please stop living in a fairy tale. Ruhiff, some of us have come to understand your refraction, just like we understand your gravity and Cavendish. And we're never going to change your mind, Ruhev. I understand that. That's fine. We're going to change the minds of people that never thought about it, who are on the fence, or people that believe like us to know they're not alone. So thank you for helping us, Ruhev, because you're making us better. Thank you.
Jim, I think the real solution here is we need to replace Ruhev's equations with essential relativity. I think it's time we show him about essential relativity so we can usurp Einstein and we can get our 100 mil and all that. What do you think?
He didn't hear that. He wasn't here for that. Oh no, I'm not going to repeat it now. He wasn't there for essential relativity. I'm sorry, Ruhev. Someday I'm going to have to give you my essential relativity pitch.
It's absolutely essential.
I bet my typing's audible. What was that? Celestial navigation doesn't use triangles. It's technically not triangulation. It's trilateration.
A word.
Yeah. But yeah, please tell me what the 3 points of a triangle are in celestial navigation.
Oh no. Thought that celestial triangulation was, the use of triangles. And since we live on a ball, it would require spherical excess, because when you measure the land, apparently there's spherical excess. So
right, but there's no. We're not measuring triangles on the surface. Right, we're just pointing a thing at the sky and measuring an angle. There's no triangle.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Glad we sorted that out. Learn something new every day, don't you?
Yeah.
Cool. So how about all that flat Earth evidence? Hold on. Just in case you forgot, it's still over here.
Oh, yeah. You have it on file, Shane?
Oh yeah.
Now, Shane, I have a question about that data. Can we add more fractions of arc seconds to that without actually reaching 180? Can we draw that out to infinity?
Oh, actually, we can. And actually, Bob, the science guy, had a gripe with this. So I do have an amended Bob approved version that we probably should display.
Can we see that? Because I want to be accurate to the precise amount of the spherical excess.
There we go. So now it's actually correct. Bob approved numbers here.
So Rue, you said that you how much refraction would you have to account for to get that many decimal places on it for arc seconds? Like, what are we talking here?
So refraction in this spherical excess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah. So remember you've been reading that document about lateral refraction and all that.
Yeah, it was like a 10th of an arc second or something.
Oh, really? So are we on par with what Bob says? I just want to make sure that we're consistent with what the math.
What did Bob say?
Paperwork.
Well, Bob had a gripe fit that I guess he was muted in Earth Awakenings and timed out because he didn't like the degree of specificity to which this meme was created to laugh at the globe. So I added his required specified digit down to the 100th of an arc second to still reach the same conclusion, inevitably that it's still flat. But this one is Bob approved. So
okay, no, that's fine. But you see the corrections made afterwards, right?
Yes.
Well, as we explained before they're even written down, they're already manipulated.
Yes, because again, we're accommodating for curvature, refractions. We're assuming a whole bunch of hell of a things. Here's a table on the refractive indices. Here's how we calculated one of them.
Oh, hang on, go back one.
Refraction.
Before the lateral refraction, that's looking at zenith distances that way. That's a vertical thing, right?
Yeah, no, that was not as cool as this one.
Yeah.
Wait, no, this one.
Yeah,
that one.
Now, Shane, if you were gonna do a math equation and have like a variable p, for example, where that's the radius of curvature, now where would you get that radius from? Would that be like from a pre-assumed a Blade spheroid model, maybe something Clark? I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my dome.
Well, with geodetic surveying, we assume curvature. So we take previous assumptions of curvature and we compare this new measurement to our previous assumptions. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So So would you say that's a little masturbatory? You know what I'm saying?
I would say it's very
Masturbatory. That's not bad.
Masturbatory. That,
No,
dude,
no,
that's right.
masturbatory.
Masturbatory, yeah. I like it.
Yeah,
KCD
dude.
Industry.
I like
He's
it.
masturbating. So
KCD Industry asks in the chat, is the horizon geometric or apparent? Now this is a semantic argument from him.
No.
When
come on.
When he says geometric, does he mean unrefracted? That's the question I have. If he means unrefracted, then I'll say the horizon is apparent.
Stop letting Rudev talk about
way that's
refraction,
worded,
guys.
No, the way it's worded, he said it's like a dichotomy between geometric or apparent, right? I can do geometry on a refracted horizon. So in that sense, it's geometric. But does he mean unrefracted?
Rudev, can you go 15 minutes in a conversation without saying refracted or refraction?
No.
Is it possible?
No,
Is it possible?
Why do we subtract 180 degrees from our refraction coefficient in the first place?
I have absolutely no idea.
Is that where the radius of the curvature will be left after you do that, right? If you're measuring spherical excess, then you're applying, looks like only the spherical excess since we're subtracting the base 180, right? It's weird.
No, this is for vertical angles. So the radius of curvature will be the curvature of the light ray, not the Earth.
Oh, okay. So why are we subtracting 180 degrees?
Probably because they're both reciprocal zenith angles, maybe. Yeah.
But it's one.
We'll see. I'll have to read it.
Come on, man. You've been reading.
Oh, yeah. I can't. I'm trying to read it off your friggin' background.
Read it off of, start with page 1, really, and just kind of dive in. Because it's 900, pages long, but us flat earthers went over it in, like, I don't know, 10 minutes. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, just skim through it lightly.
But yeah, it's quite a read, because even leading up to the stuff that you can find by Control F searching, you'll see what we're talking about. And if you are going to continue the position that what we're saying isn't true, I don't, that's kind of fucked up.
KCD Industry, he said now he means physical. Is the horizon physical? Yes, it's physical. It's in its refracted position.
You couldn't wait 10 minutes before you said refraction.
Stop.
Every time Ruhev says refraction, you do a shot.
Chat, stop giving Ruhev easy outs. Stop saying refraction.
All right, I got to go in a minute, people. I haven't found this building for Shadomoka.
That's a real shame. That would have definitely convinced us.
15 miles of the coast.
I've seen far better performances from you, if I gotta say.
Oh, come on, Shane. Come on.
I've seen much better.
All right.
But you guys are like, so here's what you do. Like, you gotta go meet with McToon, meet with FTFE, collect yourselves, gather an argument, get it coherently, practice it, bring it back to us, and then we'll take round 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
let us know how it goes, and if you have any questions, hit us up. We're always available to share information and resources with you, Rue.
I've got a what's his name? Flat Earth Coffee. Been emailing him today, like sending like 5 emails today.
Why do you always get blocked from everywhere, Ruhev? Why do people block you?
Oh, because I'm just too smart.
Is that what it is? You're just too brilliant. The brilliance outshines people. It makes them uncomfortable, really.
Okay.
When you're around.
Okay, 12:48 a.m. Central Time, USA. Ruhev says, "I'm just too smart."
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan. 12:48 a.m. Central Time. He said Ruhev said he's too smart.
Well, what altitude are you at, Jim? There may be some time dilation. We need to be very precise with this.
Did you know in the pound replica experiments, from 22.5 meters with photons now, that the difference between the top and the bottom at 22.5 meters was 0.0000000373 seconds. Who in the heck measured that with photons going up and down? I want to know. I want to know that stopwatch that did that. That's what I want to know. I'm telling you, Alan didn't get, Alan's presentation was an hour and a half, so he didn't quite get all the way through it. But it was just like his last page, his conclusional page, is dynamite. Someday we'll get to see it. It's dynamite.
Cool. All right.
you,
I got to
you
go,
can
people.
check it.
Make some dinner for the
Yeah.
kids.
Thanks
Thank you,
again for
Troubling.
coming.
When do you reckon you'll do this again?
So I have a consistent schedule now. So we do the True Earth
Ooh.
debates every Friday, 11 p.m.
That's perfect for me. Saturday afternoon. Yeah. All good.
Heck
All
yeah.
right. Thank you very much. See
Yeah,
Shane.
thanks
See
for coming
Jim.
on.
See Alan. See
Bye,
Troubling.
Rudiv. Thank you.
Yep, till next time.
So that was fun.
All
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
I dropped the link to the full presentation for those interested, and in the description you'll find a link to download the presentation, and in that PowerPoint there's a link to all the sources and everything used, so you can reference that at your own convenience and learn more about the stuff I talked about, because it's pretty devastating to relativity theory once you confront them with not having a physical mechanism to explain any of their presupposed redshifts according to Einstein's equations that dramatically alter what Newton what they base their equations off of, i.e. the mass of both planets and everything like that. So it's just literally a math system that has it doesn't matter what they use, and that proves it. And they have no physical mechanism to explain redshift, and they will claim it as proof.
And the other thing about refraction, they got their gravity and they got their Cavendish, which we can destroy sometime when we have an opportunity. But this whole thing about refracting around their ball or part of the ball, and they Ruhiv conceded it has to go through molecules to be able to change direction. Well, molecules don't work that way because you can't guarantee that it always goes through the same side of the molecule, which will be how many, I have no idea. But so that's why you always get this when you look at time lapse, looking at the shoreline, you always get this because it goes through different parts of the molecule and changes direction inside the molecule and then comes out straight. And it does that. So you can't get a bend over a ball if it's going through molecules. You'll get this. So that's why you have to look at it over a number of hours. But you'll never get a bend. You'll get this. And they love their ball, so they tell us they get this, but it's impossible. They can only get this.
Yo, do you need more Globers for your show? I think Matthew Learns would be a good addition if you want to grab him at some point.
Oh yeah, honestly, I want to grab all the good Globers. Why the hell not?
Yeah,
This is a
he's
reoccurring
one of the-
series.
He's definitely one of the good ones. I see him in my chat now, so I'm looking at him like, Matthew, why don't you get on Troubling Tribune show? Yeah, all the polite, respectful people that won't ad hom where you can have a conversation with. Those are the people I like to talk to.
And Matthew's actually California time, so it'd be 2 hours earlier for him than Central time.
For those who are interested, I might do this like once a month. It'll be the uncensored cage match, FE, True Earth versus the Globe, and it'll just be like literally no rules, all ad homs, anything goes, and that'll be a Rokfin only stream for sure. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Sounds
I'm
so
glad.
good.
I just set up Rokfin. I got to start doing stuff now. It looks really cool.
Plug that Rokfin, dude. Let me
Oh yeah,
provide that link so I can follow with the ease of one click.
Crap, right? Yeah, let me do that because I think I need subs. Let me see. Yeah.
while you're doing that, it's a
library.
perfect chance to do my plug. I haven't plugged really anything this whole show, so go ahead and do it now. You just heard the Rokfin, guys. What better reason to go ahead and make your account? Not only can you be supporting the Troubling Tribune, but you can be supporting Shane from the Tartaria Discord server. You could be supporting Jeranism, Karen B, Brian Stavely, Mellowdome, and so many others. And for just $15 a month, man, you can't get a better deal than that. You got to support what you like, or else it goes away, unfortunately. Free Truth is a terrible, terrible psyop to prevent crowdfunding. So let's all work together to overthrow the powers that be, right? So support over at Rokfin. That's my favorite place. But also, you can interrupt the entire show. For those who are new, you may not know this, but if you look below, you can actually see that there is a link for the buymeacoffee.com/Tribune, and you too can interrupt the entire show with a loud ding and have me read your super chat live on the air. You can also do the same thing if you don't like the ding. If you're like, man, I don't want to interrupt the show, I will read your super chat at the end if you send it to the Cash App. That's Cash App Mr. Tribune. All the support is going towards a new computer setup so that we can provide a better show. And then I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and get a service for having guests, because having to redo the call every 50 minutes to an hour is a little ridiculous. But hey, we're not paying Google. So
Yeah. Could we do like a
Uh,
Telegram call? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah. Yep.
is it because you guys will have to tell me, because I'm new to the game, right?
Yep.
So
Oh,
are we able to do
oh,
this?
dude,
definitely.
I thought there might have been some reason not to do that. Yeah, dog,
No, no.
we're changing the format of your show next week, dog. Like this whole reconnecting shit's over. This is
It's
the last
over.
time that's happening, dog.
New show,
Yeah.
new flow, guys. Everything happens for a reason. Divine intervention.
Right? Dude, there's many tools. Dude, Jitsi I think works too, but like I think I have Zoom. Zoom works if you pay for it, but they cap you at 45 minutes. But I think Telegram you can just go with unlimited people. So
Telegram seems to be the dominant. If we can get it to work with Telegram, that'll be the best, because you
Yeah,
can
dude, it's
get
the
everything there easy.
nice. Thanks, man. This has been great. Good fun. Good times.
dude, it
You
was awesome chatting with you guys, man. It was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And remember to support Troubling Tribune so we can buy them a new computer so we don't have frame dropping and lagging and stuff like that. We need to up our game up, and we do that through fundraising through the people that we like. Because if we don't support them, no one else will, and they'll go away. And that'll be a real goddamn shame, because then we'll have to watch McToon basically.
No.
very, very well said.
I was very tempted
I-
to be like, look, listen, guys, I need everybody to share the show and smash the like. Otherwise, I'm just gonna flip it over to the live stream of the SpaceX mission update, and we can just watch that for the next however long that's gonna go.
Yo, Tribune, you got many links, right? Like, so there used to be this thing called Linktree. I put mine in there because I'll add Rokfin to it once I sort that out. But like, you should get this. We should build this for you, so you have one link to put, and then you can put all your channels like back to back, like mine will laid out there.
So I'm
our
actually
buddy
one step
Mango
ahead of
hosts
you.
that.
I was about to
You already
link
got
it.
You already got it?
Yeah, I had some help from my good buddy Nuba, and they actually built me a website. So,
Whoa.
so if you go to troublingtribune.com, that is my website. It links you to all my stuff. Let me go ahead and link that now. Actually, why the heck not?
Dude, look at you. Look at this.
Looks really good.
Oh yeah,
Yo,
you're all
Shane,
set up.
is your rock? Where's your rock fan at on your?
God,
link?
I can't find it, dude. Right? Like, I didn't actually like set it up yet. I just got like accepted, so I didn't actually post anything.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, you're gonna need to
Okay,
do
cool.
before you can post anything. They're gonna make you you have to brand out. Basically, you have to create your stuff, and then they unlock the ability to create content.
Oh, that might be the process that I'm stuck at right now. Then.
Yeah, they're probably just the person who onboarded you is probably just sitting there, watching your
Yeah.
account as the days go by, and be like, I wonder if this kid's gonna do anything.
Oh yeah, so I had to respond to that email I got then. I didn't do that. That's probably what I
Yeah.
got to do. Gotcha.
Get on it, boy. We got to get
Yeah,
you on
man.
that fucking crypto train or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
hell yeah.
awesome, dude. I get rate deposited every single month
Is it
just from people
is it
watching.
decent, if you don't mind me asking? Like, is it definitely helping out everyone?
So
Because it's dope knowing that it's $15 a month, but it's dope knowing that it spreads out to everybody. Because when you pay through YouTube and stuff, YouTube's just absorbing that chunk, and it's cool that Rockman
Like
at least
50%,
distributes to everybody.
let me give you my personal experience with it, and then you can determine if you know how good you feel it is, because I know everybody has different opinions. But I'm a pretty small channel. I only have recently it's like 1,400, but I average was like 1,000, and the views were actually pretty low despite that. Despite how many followers I had, it was like maybe 200 post views total, but you really only get paid out Ray on the premium content. So your free content, you're not really going to get anything for it. But when people watch your premium content, the stuff that people have the subscriptions for, then you get a little bit of Ray for that. Now, the most beneficial thing is when somebody signs up under you, you get the majority of that $15 when they do, which is pretty awesome. But even from just having people click through, just from like the 100 or 200 people that I had clicking through, I was able to earn like 70 Ray. So that's not bad at all from just people watching.
Is that good? Nice.
So, dude, I see your Telegram, right? You got like a channel-based Telegram. You need like a group-based Telegram where everyone can call and contribute, and then you can do the big group calls that I think you're looking for.
For sure. So
So
I
you might want
have
to make
a
one just for the show.
So I do have one just for the show. It's very new. It's under the same name though, Troubling Tribune.
Oh,
And there's
I was
like
off your website.
there's like 6 subscribers on it right now.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
Oh
that's
yeah, I mean,
no,
we
you have
just
9, right?
yeah, oh
That's where
yeah,
I'm
it
at.
is.
yeah.
We just made it not too long ago. So, you know,
Yeah, but this one isn't gonna work, is what I'm saying. Like you can stream to here, but you can't do the group calls for your show that you
okay,
want
so
to
I need
do.
to make a different type of one.
No, it's a group. Like you have a channel.
I thought
Dude,
that's
I
what
made
that
I
was.
made the mistake too.
I thought that's what that was, but I don't know. I'm computer
Yeah,
illiterate.
it's all good. We'll figure it out, man. We'll get you set up and
Uh,
running there.
man, I appreciate
Telegram's
it.
gonna be fun.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. And 2 a.m. I think it's about time we wrap up the call.
Absolutely.
Getting freaking late as hell over here. I actually have to be
Tr-
up.
Trouble, and thank you for having us on. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
thank you, man. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on and help make my show. I basically had to do nothing. It's crazy. I'm
Dude,
kidding.
that's
Just
awesome,
kidding.
man.
The best
Yeah,
time.
it was fun, man. And you run a great show, and I see you getting consistently better. And I'll be honest with you, when you first started coming on Cornerism, and you know, you were like, hey, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring here. Like your production quality and mic and stuff was like, I was like, I can't watch this, you know. But you've taken it to the level where it's acceptable. You know, you're getting better and better every time.
It's
You know,
just,
and mine's not, mine's not super good either. But I'm just kind of messing with you. But no, you're gradually getting better at it, and you're finding out more stuff, and that's it's only going to get better from here. So.
oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Seems professional to me.
Oh yeah.
Like
And
my
this is
first experience of your show seems pretty good, man.
yeah, and this is with
Yeah.
no budget, no funds or experience. This is what you guys have gotten off of just like 6 to 8 months of work at it. So I'm really excited to see what I can do when I actually get some good equipment, because I'm one of those people that, a typical man thing to do, right, is you get a hobby and then you start obsessing over it. you just want to
Yeah.
you just want to dive right on in it, and yeah, so this is what I was able to do so far. Looks pretty good. Like I think we share that consensus,
Dude,
but
yeah,
I hate the way it
you're
runs
killing
though.
it, bro. Yeah, once you get a better computer, like your life will change. You don't realize what it's like. Have you ever had like a good computer or anything like that?
Nah.
Yeah. So yeah, no. When you're
Yeah,
it's
the
gonna be a
quality of
life
life
altering
change.
experience when you
Dude,
upgrade the quality.
honestly, I lucked out and won mine. It's like a $4,000 fucking super rig that I can't live without now. And just because I
Nice.
dropped my name in a raffle at like an E3, just like boop, and it's like, oh, you won. I was like, no way.
Wow.
My dream
Dude,
come
that's
true.
amazing.
Best thing ever. Yeah, it's just pretty
And then
sweet.
you went on to become a flat earther that hosts his own show.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, do things work out? Or synchronicities real? These are the questions that you can find answers to on the Tribune Show.
That's true.
Nice.
That's
nice
true.
meeting.
I'll even
You're a good
explain
marketer person.
I'll even explain the mechanism here pretty soon on behind how I think that whole stuff works, because I think that this is all kind of science that gets buried, and people don't want to either people think that it's evil witchcraft, or they just think that it doesn't exist at all, and so that's kind of the paradigms that people get stuck into. So that's one of the reasons why I do the fate debate.
What better
right?
way to get people to deny it than get them to think it's evil?
I love people who think it's evil though, because it's when you start really digging into it, there's really no good reason for thinking that it's evil other than things that can happen to you while you're doing it, and it's like, yeah, but that's another thing. That's not, you're just I'm splitting. You could say I'm splitting hairs, but I digress. I think that all that stuff's really important. So,
dude, synchronicities are real and they accelerate, right? When you're on the right path, you get more. When you stray, you get less. It seems like a pretty easy positive reinforcement system to guide you on your way.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I've never experienced more synchronicities than when, I was doing things that were on the quote unquote right path. And when I started slipping up,
There you go.
I started not getting them. And I felt, I was like, I like realized that I had a disconnection. And Jaron talks about this a little bit when he says, when you do something bad and it's bad, you have that internal knowing that you shouldn't be doing it, but you keep doing it anyway. And then eventually, that'll wear down. And I like, that's totally true. And like, when I found that, I started slipping on that kind of stuff, the synchronicities went away, and I literally felt less powerful, which sounds crazy, but
Facts.
I can't make an equation for it, but it's literal fact that when I started making changes to get back into, um, going with what I know to be the correct way to conduct myself, I I started experiencing the synchronicities again and feeling that reinforcement. So could it all just be in my head? Who knows? But there's definitely, like, I've personally felt that, and I know other people, probably have experienced the same as that too.
Yeah, you're right on the money. And I'm not a big Bible believer, but the Bible does say we choose between blessings and curses, and
Yeah, totally.
I think that's super accurate. Less sin, it's less of sin and death, and more of uh, you're choosing to either get rewarded by the universe or God or however you want to call it. Whatever ideology you fall behind, or um, I digress. Anyway, that's a whole nother show, right? That is the true fate
Yeah,
debate.
no,
So
totally, dude. I want to call in on your true fate one. I got an interesting story for that about a synchronicity that'll blow your mind, man. And once you realize that there's a synchronicity this strong out there, it's like it's fascinating. So I'll definitely call in on what day is your true fate show?
so the true fate debate, that's going to be Wednesday nights, 11 p.m. And that one's like, if you're like really heavy into Christianity or really heavy into a religion, I think you should check it out because I'm a challenger of dogma. So you should challenge anything that you hold really dear and truthful because the truth fears no scrutiny. So come and bring it to the table. And part of the reason that I do that is because I'm very, very open minded on the spiritual end. I think that it's very, very hard to get solid footing on what exactly happened or what exactly the ancient cultures are trying to say that they believed in. I think a lot of it is like depictions, right? Like we're depicting this from drawings and that. So it's really ambiguous, right? And so we don't really know what the truth is. And I know one of the things that's also super contentious is all the mistranslations and different translations of all these religious texts. So I love to have people come on who are from all these different faiths, bring this information to the table, and then really even be able to hash it out like within the faiths, their paradigms themselves. That's the thing that I love doing. If somebody comes claiming that they're a Hindu, then we'll take the Hindu paradigm and we'll hash it 9 ways from Sunday. And if we get somebody who comes in and says that they're a Muslim or a Christian, the exact same thing, using only the concept of their holy book being, the arbiter of truth or absolute truth. And it's really fun to do that, nonetheless, if you can come to a solid conclusion or not. So Wednesday night, definitely check that out. Friday night, you guys are here. You know what it's about: the true Earth, the flat smack. Really awesome. Shane's dying over there.
I got one thing to say. I got one thing to say real quick because I'm a little petrified. Alan, Troubling, and Shane, Newton just showed up here in the corner of my room.
Yo, I was looking at what he was looking at. I was like,
Just
what
turn,
is
turn the
Newton
camera.
just showed up, and he offered me an apple. He actually offered me an apple, and it's just like I don't know if I want to eat it or if I just want to,
Isn't that what
reject
Satan
it.
did to Eve? Isn't that weird?
Now, Jim,
He's right up, Alan. Seriously, he's right up there in the corner, and he said, tell Alan, Troubling, and Shane hi for me. That's what he said.
That's crazy.
wow, that's incredible.
Why
You
wouldn't
guys
he just
worked out that
manifest to
story. That was
me?
awesome.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Should I eat the apple or should I reject it?
Well,
Guys, let me
is
tell
it the apple that fell off of the tree and made him do his famous equations, or
Did you guys?
Well,
is it just like an apple from the grocery store?
That one the one from 1666 would have been bad by now. So this is probably a newer one.
What if it's
But
supernatural?
what if it
Jim?
was
Come on.
what if it was experiencing time dilation, Jim? What if it was near a gravitational field?
Hey guys, he's coming closer. I got to get out of here.
That's super funny.
All right, see you guys, man. It's been a blast. You guys are great.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some food.
Everybody, take care. We'll talk again. Have a nice evening.
Later,
For sure.
Later, everyone.
For sure.
Later.
Anybody who may still be listening, just to throw this out here, a fun little factoid, right? As far as like apples, supposedly, you can trace like the lineage of apples down to like just one tree. I have to go back and fact check into that. But if that is true, then that's pretty crazy. Or maybe it's just a certain type of apple. You can trace it all back to like one tree. Pretty interesting, right? Because you get the symbolism of like that being the fallen fruit. I personally, if I knew that there was a tree of knowledge of good and evil, I don't know why the heck I wouldn't want to eat that. I wouldn't want to knowingly or unknowingly commit evil acts, right? That sounds like a tragedy. So I'd rather be in control, knowing, and have my own faculties make the decisions myself. And if that pisses God off, then I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But that's why I don't tend to think that the Bible is 100% true. But again, that's a different debate. The true Earth debate, the globe was absolutely eviscerated today. Heliocentrism absolutely demolished. Curvature demolished. Spherical excess demolished. Really fun stuff. Feel free to go back if you're just joining us to catch the entire stream. Share the show. There was tons of really good information, really thick. You might have to like watch it in a few bits. So yeah, definitely get that out. That's the number one way that you guys can support the show, and it doesn't cost you a dime, is to share the show. That way we can go ahead and grow this thing. We do have goals, and you guys can be a part of it. So we have goals to be at 1,000 by the end of this month. So it's March 3rd, guys. Actually, now it's March 4th. Whoops. Go ahead and share it out. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 before the 31st, and that would be absolutely awesome. We'll go from there. And yeah. Things to come up. Let me go ahead and pull back over the mainframe. First things first. Let's exit this because we are done with that. We no longer need that. And then we can go. Where the heck are we? Alrighty. Let's get it pulled back up here. Okay, so we have, where the heck is it? Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. There we go, found it. Took me a minute. All right, guys, the new schedule is off and kicking strong, so I will see you guys Sunday for the Tribune show. That is our late night show. We're going to be covering the latest and greatest news and how it affects you and our conspiracy world. Really, really fun. Lots of good topics that we can cover, including, since we didn't cover it on today's show, we're going to be going over the launch. Don't worry, we're not going to watch the whole freaking live stream. That thing would be boring. Boring as absolutely all get out. But I did watch some of it. And I found some golden clips, some just obvious blunders, and really funny things for us to laugh at. So that's going to be really fun. And then we have some other stuff as well. Yeah, every show is a guest-oriented show, though. So at the end of the Tribune show, feel free to call on in and help make it even better. We look forward to hearing from you guys. Support the show in any of the following methods, preferably the Rokfin. That way you can support our guest Shane as well, who was on the show. And I will see you guys. Yeah, Sunday. Let me get this song pulled up. I knew there was something I was forgetting. I always do this. I always do this every single time. Okay. One second. Let me see if I can cheat the system and find it faster. Nope. Nope, I cannot. We're going to have another botched outro. Yay. It's freaking unreal. Oh, yep, just close me out of it. That's cool. That's cool. All right, folks. Well, if you're still in the show, while we wait for me to get this pulled up, feel free to leave your opinion down below. If you were convinced by any of the arguments made by any of the Globers, if you're on the true Earth side, feel free to let us know which argument you felt was the most convincing and why, so we can laugh at you. Just kidding. If you're on the Globe side, though, and we would love to know what you thought about the presentation. Genuinely, it did seem like Demon Stride was a little disingenuous on actually looking at the information that Alan was presenting. To me, it was pretty easy to understand, pretty demonstrable, and you should be able to at least honestly be able to say that something fishy was going on there. So the fact that he wouldn't even admit that, and then just tried to keep burden flipping it, right? Like the globe is not a positive claim that needs defending. Just really funny, but he's a really good guy, so I do look forward to having him on in the future as well. Finally got everything pulled up. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I will see you all Sunday. Thanks for all the support. Peace.